Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me this evening. Yes, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and you're saying, Larry, I don't know when your show goes because Monday night it's 9, Tuesday it's 1, and now it's Wednesday at 7. Yes, because I am a dynamic individual. That would be the reason why. I'm teasing. I had to do a panel show one night, and everyone does their panel show like on Friday, Thursday, Saturday. I said, I'm going to show you, and I'll do it on Monday. So because I'm being belligerent, I do my panel show late night Monday, 9 p.m. Monday is when I do my panel show. I hope you guys enjoyed that panel show. My radio show, which is the call-in show, which is Tuesdays, that's 1 p.m. because that's when the show is. I don't have a choice in that. They were like, hey, Larry, you want a weekly show? I was like, yes. And so I have that out of Western New York. For those who don't know, my largest chunk of followers when I ran for office of people who voted for me came out of Western New York. In fact, if I remember right, Steuben County, which is in Western New York also, or you could call it Southern Tier, either one. I'll call it Western New York. Western New York is, I think I got about 9 or 10% of the vote there. So it was one of my highest vote totals. So any case, that is why I do that show. But my normal show, which is Tuesday through Friday or Wednesday through Friday or whenever I do it, is 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's now you know. For those of you who've been asking that question, now you know. So I was considering not doing a show today and just letting things kind of lie. But there was a lot of stuff going on in the Twitter world and on Facebook, and people are talking about the 5% piece. What does that mean? 5% is a big number when it comes to presidential elections. Is it critical in other states? It can be, and I will cover that piece too. There is a secondary piece to the 5%, right? There's a secondary piece for that. Why does 5% matter? Because if an individual who is running for president gets 5% of the popular vote, does not matter from which state, does not matter what party they're on, as long as they're not part of a major party, and right now there are only two major parties, and that is Democrats, Republicans. If you're not part of that and you get 5%, you would then qualify for matching funds. But the cool part is, not just in 2028, you qualify over the course of the entire cycle. So some of that will happen during, say, a primary season. Some could happen literally in theory right after this election to help pay some debt from that election. I'm not joking. That's part of the rules. There's a detailed piece. If anyone wants to check it out, you can. But the most important piece is that 5% makes that happen. Now, Larry, is it automatic? No. Ask Jill Stein. Jill Stein thought she had a reason to capture that 5%. And she sued for it and couldn't get it. They said no. But the issue is, once you get 5%, now people notice because now there will actually be lawsuits to get the money from the 5%. You might say, Larry, wait a minute, is this matching funds? Is this government dollars? Yes, it is. Yes. Do you remember when you were doing your income tax and they said, hey, do you want to put $1 towards this fund? That's the fund. Yes, that's the fund. You might go, wait a minute, Larry, do Democrats, Republicans get this? It was made for them. It was originally made for them, matching funds. It was made for them originally. Well, why didn't they take it? Because a guy named Barack Obama was able to raise so much money that he could explode past the spending limits. If you take the matching funds, you are limited to the amount of money that you can spend. I believe it's $200 million. So since the matching funds, if you raise $100 million, they give you $100 million and you can run your campaign. Well, Obama raised way more than $200 million. He's like, I'm going to spend way more than that. So then he couldn't take the funds. So he said, I don't want them. And since Obama said, I don't want them, everyone else, Romney said, I don't want them. McCain, I don't want them. I've raised far more than that. Democrats, Republicans haven't taken the money in like 20 years. So they've never taken the money. Why? Because they raised so much. If they raise the max like $1 billion, they might take it again because then they'd be okay. But no, so they don't take it. The money just sits there. So Jill Stein said, well, if that money's sitting there, I want it. Nice lawsuit. Didn't win. I wish Jill Stein had won because then we'd all be grabbing that cash right now, right? Libertarians be grabbing that cash right now. Bobby Kennedy be grabbing that cash right now. We'd all be grabbing it. So she lost her lawsuit, but well done in fighting. But that was the goal. It's sitting there. Why don't we have it? Not how it works. So the money's sitting there. No one's gonna take that money. Okay. So the piece that we're talking about here is, does it matter if Bobby Kennedy gets it? People are saying, hey, wait a minute. He can't do it because he won't be on the ballot in all 50 states. Does not matter. Well, can he actually do it because he's in multiple parties? Does not matter. Well, wait a minute. What if he gets 5% in one state? Does not matter. Depending upon how many people actually vote, probably about 160 million. We're not sure. But with 160 million voters, that means about 8%, give or take, about 8 million, 5%, 8 million people is how many votes you have to get. About, we don't know exactly, but it should be around 8 million votes. In theory, not in practice, in theory, he could get all 8 million out of California, and that would count. So it doesn't matter where it comes from. So that's the piece to remember here, right? That's the piece to remember. Dave brings up, he says, Larry, hardly anyone checks that box, and Congress still allocates the money anyway. There we go. Thank you, Dave. I actually didn't know that. Thank you for that. Yes. So the money's allocated. There we go. Thank you, Dave. My chat is so smart. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. So yes. So there it is, waiting for someone to pick it up. So now, if RFK Jr. gets the 5%, this is what I'm talking about. Several things happen. Number one, immediately lawsuits happen, which means press, which means they're still talking about it, which means he's still valid, which means he's still important, which means the movement keeps going. Not just that. And this is the good and the bad part. If people know that 5%, $200 million in theory is coming in 2028, you will watch talent begin to come to the independent movement. That's what we need. People who know how to do all the things, in not just people like me who are ideologues who just think it's the only way to survive. No, people who are talented and want to do this will start coming to our party. We will need that. People will start coming to the independent movement because they'll see cash, which that may be a bad reason, but at least we'll start getting talent. I'll take it. But not only will we get talent in consultants and in marketers and brand, not just that, we'll also get people who actually want to run as independents. Most people don't want to run as an independent, not because they aren't independent, because they can't win, because there's no chance of making impact. The vast majority of people who are independent have no chance of impact. Well, if I got cash for you and I got infrastructure for you, you might do it. And the next thing I hear is, well, Larry, that sounds good, but Bobby Kennedy is taking his name off of the ballot in all these states. True. Again, he can get it from one state in theory. In practice, we need about 8 million. We need about 8 million votes from probably 5 to 10 to 20 different states. That's all that matters. I don't care how many states he's on. I don't care how many he's on. If he's on enough for us to get our 8 million, we're good. So that's all that matters if we can do it. So it's irrelevant. You might go, but Larry, how are we going to have ballot access in the future? That is a great question. And here's again my point about talent. If we know we're getting money and talent, let's say for the sake of argument, he gets his 5%. Here is the secondary piece. Many states, not all, but the vast majority of states, they have some rule on retaining ballot access or retaining party status or major party status, and that changes depending upon the state, is often a percentage that you get in any statewide election. That's not all states, that's many. So whether you're running for Senate, governor, president, that is a statewide election. If they get the statewide election and they get 2% or more, some it's 1%, some it's 2%, some it's a percentage of the last election. It's all different rules. But if you get 5%, you have covered all of that. You have covered all of that, which means you'll get ballot access automatically in 2026 all the way through 2028 in most states that he'll be on the ballot. That won't be all. Say, for example, it's 25. I'm making that number up. It could be that. He has 25 ballot access in 25 states. Okay, that's not 50. But now we have 2026 with a party that's going to have $200 million in 2028, with a party that has RFK Jr. who's made impact at 5%. And maybe if Trump wins, we'll be in the administration. Perhaps we'll talk about that in a second too. Or he'll still be someone who did this and now is a guy who can run around helping you to get elected by, doing fundraisers for you and doing the same thing I did after 2018. After I ran, I helped people get elected. He can do that too. You do that now, and in 2026, you just run statewide elections. You run for governor, you run for attorney general, you run for senator, whatever the run is. You run as a We the People party or whichever party he chooses. And when you run for that and you get your 2% or more, which you will because you'll have money, because you'll have all this stuff, yes, now you get ballot access in those states. What if you get 20 more states in 2026? Now you have 45 states prepping for 2028. Now you've only got to get 5 more states, and you got $200 million in the pocket, and people who are winning these last couple of years. Some people will win in 2026. You'll have some more people. But here's the most important piece you will see. If we do this, and now it's working, you will see people who are Democrats and Republicans switch parties and stay. Now, people do switch parties. They do. 100%. They switch parties. When they switch parties, it's usually because they're leaving. Kirsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, right? I'm quitting, so I become independent because I don't want to run again. But now all of a sudden, there's an independent party that can actually work. You could actually work in that party and win. You might stay. You might stay. And things begin to change. This is important, more important than just getting Trump elected, whatever else you want to do, or beating Harris or whatever you want to do. That's fine. To be forward with all of you, and some of you will be mad when I say this, I don't care who wins. And you might think I'm crazy. I don't. We are on, we have been on a 25-year decay for forever. It's just been happening. Obama, Bush got us Obama, Obama got us Trump, Trump got us Biden. It's, if you lean right, awesome. You'll get 4 years of reprieve until we get, President AOC or whatever, right? If you lean left, great. You'll have Harris reprieve for 4 years, and then you get President Ted Cruz. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We have to change things. That's the issue. The system has to change. Now, why does this matter? You think, Larry, it doesn't matter if it's third party. Okay. For those of you who think Bobby Kennedy Jr. should be in the administration and making change, I agree. I think he should be in administration making change. I didn't say I didn't care who won, but either way, I'd like him to be in administration making change. I'm a big fan of change. I'm in. Yes. Well, Trump says he'll do it. Okay, that's great. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he won't. What I know is there are people who would say it's risky. People like, I don't know, Scaramucci, people like John Bolton, Omarosa, on and on and on, who he's their buddy now, and then he's not their buddy. So look, is Trump changed? I think there's a chance. I mean, he almost got killed, right? So maybe he changed. I don't know the man at all. Possible. I hope that's true. That's all I can say. I hope it's true. But I don't know if it is. So how in the world do we in any way provide insurance for Bobby Kennedy Jr. to actually make that change? How do we do that? How do we make that happen? Here's how. By getting that 5%. Why? 2 reasons. Number one, if he gets 5%, that means he actually has impact in the country. Getting 5% and only being on a ballot, maybe half the states, that shows he has power, political power, which will make other people scared. And that's the key. That's the key. Other people will be afraid. Donors will be afraid. Senators will be afraid. Congressmen will be afraid. And that will push people into getting Trump to say, do your thing. Don't piss him off. Keep him busy doing stuff. I don't want him and his people in my district ruining things for me. You might go, Larry, that sounds horrible. Yes, and how the world works. The average person who's in power doesn't care about you. They care about their own power. So if we don't keep their feet to the fire, they don't do anything except whatever makes them happy. That's what they do. We see it everywhere. That gives him fear. But I'm going to go one step further. Let's assume he gets his party. We the People Party is now a party in, say, 25 states or something like that. And we start moving on. Talent starts coming. Okay, what does that mean? Trump decides, I used to like you. I don't anymore. Goodbye. Michael, but Larry, he promised. Means nothing. No deal means anything. The political parties are the mafia. That's what they are. And if you don't have leverage, you have nothing. No one enforces your contracts. It's not a thing. Not how that works. It's if I think you're going to hurt me, then maybe I'll do it. If not, have a nice day. Pack your trash. Ask Scaramucci. Ask all the rest of those guys who happened. That's what happened to them too. They're all gone. Okay. So what is the threat? Here is the threat. You throw Bobby Kennedy out of the administration in some way, shape, or form. He literally goes to, say, 4 or 5 of those states, whatever those might be, and he runs candidates on the We the People Party for the Senate Why would that matter? Because the Senate's basically 50-50 right now. There's a couple of people who are on a line, but it's basically 50-50. So he decides to run or support people running in 4, 5, 6 states. That is something like that. You pick the states. Doesn't matter. 4, 5, 6 states that he's on. What if he wins? You focus all that money, all that time, and again, people know 200 million's coming. So now you got talent, and you run them as with the People Party, and you win 3 seats. With a 50-50 Senate, the We the People Party would control the Senate. How would he control the Senate with 3 seats? Because neither Republicans or Democrats will have 50 votes, which means even the vice president can't break a tie. 3 or more, and the We the People Party decides everything. It's deadlocked. Deadlocked. So one of 2 things happens. Bobby Kennedy says yes to all this stuff because they're going to follow him, right? Or they have to work together to stop him. Look at that. Either way, that's a real thing. And that should be a real threat, which he does not have if he doesn't get 5%, which means he has no insurance. None. If Trump changes his mind, and I'm not saying he will, I don't know Trump. And maybe he's had a change of heart since the attempt on his life. Perhaps. But the point is, without 5%, there is no insurance. Trump will do whatever he wants. And that's fine. He can. No one will stop him. But if there's insurance, he won't. And Trump may not care, but the people around him will. They'll say, leave Bobby alone. Put him in his thing that he wants. Let him do his work. Leave him alone. And he'll get stuff done. Without it, there's no leverage. This is why the 5% piece matters so much. I know what you're going to tell me. Larry, come on. He's going to win Senate? Yes. Yes. Some of you don't realize this. The left-right paradigm is so broken in our country, is so pushed so deep in certain states that individuals of the opposite party aren't even running anymore. Yeah. Last Senate race in Utah, the Democrats didn't bother running anybody. I'm not joking. An independent ran. Guy named Evan McMullen got 40% of the vote. This year, Nebraska, Democrats said, we're not even running anybody. For the Senate, the U.S. Senate, not state Senate, they're not running anybody. Nobody. So the Republican would go just all by himself, but now independent. Guy named Dan Osborne, independent, running in Nebraska. Not a Democrat, independent. And the guy's like neck and neck. In the last poll, they're like 50-50. It's crazy. This is the time. You have an independent party that has infrastructure, talent. Independents start winning. They start winning. They don't get 40%. They get 51%. They get 60%. They start winning, right? I look at my place where I live right now in New York, in my city, my state, and my federal. All Democrats, all members of the DSA. And at my state level, the Republicans haven't run a candidate in 10 years. Don't bother running a candidate anymore. Don't bother. No one can do it. No one's going to raise the money. Why bother? That's what's actually happening right now. This 5% does matter, and this 5% is doable. In theory, as long as he gets on the ballot in California and New York and places like that, big states, he could easily pull 2 million votes out of California. Easily pull 2 million votes out of California. We only need 6 million more. He'll get 1 million just of people who are pissed off writing him in and putting him across the country. Why? Because that always happens. So he'll do. So he'll get 1 million just for that. So now we got 1 million there, 2 million in California. Okay, that's 3. I need 5 more. Can I get 5 million more votes? It can be done. It will not be easy. And the next thing I hear, well, the campaign's over. They're pulling out. There's still PACs, more than one PAC that's putting money into this, more than one PAC that has money. And there's still literally 100,000 volunteers who are still ready to go out and tell people to vote. Plus, he's getting more press than ever. He's getting more press than ever. So, yes, let me grab a couple super chats if I could. Jay, thank you for coming aboard, my friend. Become a member. As I mentioned, guys, if you want to help out, there's many ways you can. The first way is click that button that is like. Pump that button, right? Do that. Pump that button. Don't use your fist because you may break your device. Use your nose or something or your finger, but not your fist because that'll break it. Don't break your device. So use that. That's fine. You can also, if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, share this thing, retweet this, repost it, whatever is the thing of the day. Do that thing. Do the appropriate thing on whatever appropriate thing you're on, because this gets live streamed on about 8 different platforms. Whatever platform you're on, please do the share thing. If you happen to be on YouTube, you can subscribe, right? Click that bell. That's awesome. Or do what Jay did and become a member. Also good. $5 a month. Hit that join button, and you get more and more and more of me. The more that happens, the more I'm here. The less I'm actually consulting, the more I'm actually doing this. So yes, that is helpful completely, and helps. By the way, I have a team. Some of you see my teammates on here. They got to work too. So yes, if you can do that, helps everybody else, helps us all out to make that work. So if you can become a member, please. And of course, you can always super chat me. Super chat goes to the front of the line. I pick those up first. I'm about to pick those up right now. You can always super chat if you like. So thank you for that, Jay. Lynn says, thanks, Larry. I've been trying to explain this on X and YouTube. Folks in the red states say it's risky to vote RFK. 5% would hurt Trump, but also give Nicole Shanahan California governor run to finance her. Yes, 2 parts I want to bring up, both of those two, Lynn. The first thing is, in red states, to be clear, 5% is not going to hurt Trump. Not. And he may make 5% red states, because red states are very loyal to Trump, except Utah. Utah's an exception. Utah is not very loyal to Trump. But all of the red states, I mean, this is true, they're very loyal to Trump. So the odds of him getting 5% in those red states are slim, which is why we're focusing on swing states. To your point, Lynn, to their point, I get it. But in red states, you can focus on voting for Trump. 5% not going to hurt. I mean, he wins. What do you win in Oklahoma by 30 points? Something like that. I mean, just crazy numbers. Even in Utah, they're running into independent, and Mike Lee still won by what, 10, 15 points? It's not a problem. It's not a thing. That's the thing they're making up. Swing states, I get it. They're scared, and that's why RFK is trying to pull out of those swing states for that reason. If you live in a swing state, I get why you would be afraid. I do. I understand that. If you live in a deep red or deep blue state, this is just propaganda. I talked about this in my last live on this one, and I'll bring it up again. There's a reason why they're afraid, because the local Republican and Democratic parties, they will lie to you. They know it's a done deal, but they have to raise money. So if I'm in Oklahoma, deep red state, right? Trump is going to win Oklahoma. No way he doesn't win Oklahoma. I'll bet anybody any amount of money. Doesn't matter. I'm going to win. I'm taking your house if you're going to be silly. He's going to win Oklahoma. So why would Oklahoma Republicans want to write a check to the Oklahoma Republican Party? Well, if they have another candidate who's running statewide, that makes it. They have a good, cool senator candidate who may be in a tight race or something. That'd be a good reason. But what if they don't have that? They can't raise money. So they say things like this, Lynn. They say, you never know, it could hurt. We got to support Trump. They make up any lie so people will give them money. That's the reason. Otherwise, why? If you're a Republican in Oklahoma, and again, I don't know Oklahoma well enough, so there may be other people running statewide that are in tight races or they need money. I don't know that. For the assumption of this story, that's not true in Oklahoma for this story. Why would you be excited? Why would you jump up and down? Why would you give money? You wouldn't. You know you're going to win. All your friends are Republicans. Republicans always win. Why bother? Same in New York State. Same in New York State. I'll give you the New York State lie they tell you. In New York State, the Democrats are going to win this state. Statewide, again, to be very clear, locally, Republicans win all the time. A statewide election, Democrats are going to win. They know this. So why, as a Democrat, would you write a check to the Democratic Party of New York State? For what reason? You're going to win a Senate. Again, a Republican has not won any statewide election in my state in 22 years. Not going to happen. Democrats are going to win. Got it. Why? This is where the Democrats go. Got to protect a woman's right to choose. Dead serious. Now, some of you going, but Larry, that's true. In some states, that's a real threat, right? I get it. If that issue matters to you, there are states in this union where that does matter. New York is not one of those states. In New York, we have codified it. It's in law. We have a supermajority in our assembly, and now I think maybe even our Senate now, but I know we have it in our assembly. I think maybe even our Senate, but I know we have it in our assembly. There is zero chance of that being affected at all in New York State, but they will talk about it left and right. Why? They can raise money. Republicans in my state say, this is the time. This is the chance. We might win this year. We're not. They'll say that. Why? To get Republicans to give money. In Oklahoma, the Democrats say the same thing. We got to send a message. No one's listening to your message. That is a garbage lie. They say that so that people will give money. They say that again for Republicans. They'll go, you got to support Trump. He needs to know. He doesn't care. Let me be very clear. Trump doesn't care, nor does anybody in his entire cabinet care whether he wins Oklahoma by 40 points or by 20 points. They don't care at all. They won't pay attention to one single bit. It doesn't matter to them at all. That's a story they tell you, so you'll give them money. Be very clear. It is a story for them, so you'll give them money. That's all it is. Don't believe the hype. Again, if you have a local person, Democrat, Republican, who can run in your area, please feel free to support that person. Please do so. But at a state level, this is silly. I know I went long on that, Lynn, but I hope I answered your question. Jay says, can Bobby debate with a suspended campaign if he gets polling and 270 plus? No. And the reason why he can't is, to be very forward, a suspended campaign, there logically no one's going to say yes to it. Not just that, he's not going to be in polls because he's been in this campaign, so he can't get polling. And not just that, he's supporting Trump. So why would they? That's not a kind of thing, Jay. I wish it would. I wish he could debate because I think it'd be amazing, right? The one thing that may be good for people who like RFK's policies here is he is on their transition team, and so is Tulsi Gabbard, which means they will be telling whoever Trump's debate prep team is ideas and issues. So he may start pushing some of that stuff in debates. You may hear some Bobby in that. You might. It depends upon how to deal with that. I hope that answers your question. Peace Logic, how are you, sir? Thank you for the super chat, $49. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Got to keep this going. Thank you for all the support. I hope I'm able to answer all of those questions. So I brought up Osborne and I brought up Evan McMullin because those are people running now. Oh, well, Evan ran 2 years ago, and now Dan's running now. This is popular. People are getting it. People want to do it. It does matter. The 5% does matter. We do want to push this no matter what. You might go, but Larry, what if the campaign doesn't push hard because Bobby's spending time doing so-and-so? I don't care. And neither should you. I don't care. Neither should you. You should be out there trying your best if you're in a deep red or deep blue state and Kennedy's on your ballot to get into 5%. The 5% will make change. And here's the most important piece. For the vast majority of us, our vote does not count. Just being very forward with you. It doesn't count. When it comes to the president, I should be clear on that. When it comes to the presidency, in fact, well, sometimes it doesn't count at all. But when it comes to the presidency, the vast majority of American voters, your vote does not matter. Why? Because no matter what I do, my electoral vote is going to go to Harris. I live in New York City. I live in New York State. It's going to Harris. I cannot vote for Harris, vote for Trump, vote for Kennedy. I can vote for myself. Doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. All of New York's electoral votes, because we are winner take all state, are going to Harris. So my vote goes to Harris no matter what I do. But in the case of the 5%, popular vote actually matters. You require 5% of the popular vote. Electoral vote doesn't matter. In this case, only popular vote works. So if you want to vote for Bobby Kennedy Jr., your vote actually matters. We need 8 million grains of sand. Put your 1 grain of sand into that beach to make a beautiful beach. We need grains of sand. Anything else is nothing. It is you, unless you live in a swing state, then maybe, right? Again, swing state, maybe. You don't live in a swing state, your vote is going in the garbage unless you vote RFK Jr. That's all I'm saying. That's how you get your 5%. That's how you make impact. Now, if you would rather virtue signal, I understand. I have done virtue signal voting in the past. I've done it too. I'm not shaming you for it. I've done it myself. But I would say do virtue signal voting when you can't make other impact. That's what I do. If I can't make impact, I will virtue signal vote. I've done it before. But if you can make impact, why wouldn't you? You might go, but Larry, I don't know if I want RFK Jr. to win. Okay. Can he win? Mathematically, yes. Realistically, no. I'm being forward. Mathematically, yes. A contingent election is still possible. Mathematically. Reality, I could win the lottery today. If I played, I gotta go play. If I played the lottery today, I could win the lottery today. But I would not, if I were you, bet my future on a lottery ticket. But could he? Yes. Here's what would have to happen. We'd have to be going for the 5%. Then, because people are excited and starting to vote for him and talk about him, and he starts getting him more press, and he starts gaining traction, and then in a couple of states, it looks like he might win, then the PACs spend all their money in those states where he might win, and he gets 36% of the vote, three-way race, 36% wins. He wins 2 states, and happen that Trump and Harris get the same amount, right under 270, and Kennedy wins a state or 2, that would be the one chance that he could win, and it would go to a contingent election. And if Trump doesn't have 26 states, could happen. I'm not betting on that one. Just telling you the truth. I'm not, but could happen. It is possible. I could also win a lottery. Could happen. I'm talking 5%. That can actually work. That's a realistic goal. That could happen. We could do that, regardless of what the campaign does. It doesn't matter what the campaign does. We could actually do that. I do want to make sure we understand that. So yes. So P says, is there a primary for independents? Who gets the money? Peace. Thank you for the super chat, the $5. Thank you so much. Their independent parties create their own rules. If they are major party status, they would probably fall into a primary system or primary rule based upon the state or states they're in. But they make their own rules. So you don't have to have a primary. It's not required. The federal judges have already said political parties are private organizations. They literally have no obligation to give us fair elections. I'm not joking. That is, a federal court has already said this. There's no obligation. That's why they can just say Bernie's out and make rules. Why they can just give us Harris through magic. They can just do it. That is utterly legal. Federal courts have already said so. They are private organizations. Again, utterly unconstitutional because they run our politics, because we pay for the primaries. So P's logic, we pay for their primaries, but they're private companies. How does that work? Pay for your own primary then, right? They decide who goes on the ballot, but they're private companies. You shouldn't control that. They decide who's on the ballot and when we print the ballots. They decide that. But you're a private company. How do we do that? We've set up a system to where 2 private companies run our elections. And we're like, that's the system we have. It's okay. We've decided that. That's insane, but that's true. Independents can also create their own rules. So for the case of, say, the Green Party and Libertarian Party, those 2 major parties, Constitution has the same thing too. Constitution also follows that too. There's no primary. They select their nominee at convention. And that's legal, right? The Democrats could have done so. In theory, again, theory versus practice. In theory, could the Democrats have nominated, I don't know, Tim Scott for, he's not a member of the Democratic Party, so you'd be a member of the party. So could they have nominated, I don't know, Andy Beshear out of Kentucky from the floor, again, theoretically, said, I think Andy Beshear should be our president nominee, and then had a vote, and if all 51% of the delegates had voted for Andy Beshear could be selected as their nominee, even though they'll have all the hype for Harris. In theory, that could have happened. Never was going to happen ever. It's a fantasy. But I'm only telling you this because there's no rules. They make up their own rules. So when it comes to libertarians, we pick at the convention. Greens pick at the convention. Constitution Party pick at the convention. Now, sometimes what they'll have is they'll actually run primaries locally, but those are not bound. They're not bound at the convention. So who gets the money? The individual gets the money who made it. The individual who made the 5%. Their campaign or campaigns get the money. That's who decides. So yes. The anti-corporatist became a member. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Every little bit counts. I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much. I hope I answered your question. That is how that works. I wish there were more rules on this. The only rule, you can have a problem though, which is, to go back to Peace Logic, if the party does not follow its own rules, or there's also rules on when you change them, how your people who are your members must know them, like they must be notified 30 days or something like that. There's those rules on that too. If they either put their rules together incorrectly or don't follow their own rules, then a court can step in and say, wait a minute, you have now defrauded your members, right? If you say that if your name is John, you get 2 extra votes, completely legal. They can do something like that if they want to. And then John runs and doesn't get 2 extra votes. John can sue. That's fraud, right? But as long as they say, if your name's John, you get 2 extra votes, and you get your 2 extra votes, totally legal, all good. So you do have to follow the rules that you make. Otherwise, you've defrauded your members. And it seems crazy. Some of you are like, wow, these are crazy rules. Yes. And they've made them up. And we act like they're in stone. No, it's people making stuff up. That's how this works. Our system's run by elites who make up rules. Yes. So in any case, let's keep going if I could. All righty. I'll try my best to answer as many questions as I can. Peter says 5% of the vote in certain states decides most presidential elections. That's correct. Peter's exactly right. And I think if you look at, I think it's about anywhere between 7 and 10 states. Depends how you look at that. Anywhere between those two. That right there could easily decide it. You're exactly correct, Peter. And this is why RFK Jr. is trying to get off of all those swing state ballots, because he recognizes that if people see him on the ballot, a lot of people really like Bobby Kennedy Jr. and don't care and will vote for him no matter what. No matter what he says, no matter who he puts, they're going to do it. They absolutely will. I get that, right? I get that. So I think you're right. This could affect those swing states. 100% it could. Dave says, Libertarian candidate for Congress in Iowa was removed from the ballot. I heard about that. And that's Republicans doing it. So let's be clear. Right now, when it comes to RFK Jr., Democrats are the bad guys. That's true. But to your point, Dave, Republicans are bad guys too. Because Republicans threw that guy off the ballot. Republicans threw me off the ballot. They threw me off the ballot too. So yes, they work together. Excuse me. Kevin says there are 7. Hey, Kev, how are you doing, man? Good seeing you, Ken. There are 7 states considered swing states in this year's elections. If you're in one of those 43 states and voting to keep the dominant candidate in your state out of the White House, a vote for Chase Oliver is the only one that has the possibility of making a difference. Chase is also running, right? I have nothing against Chase. You never hear me say anything bad about Chase. I like him. I know him personally. I just don't think he can make 5%. I think he has no chance of making 5%. That's just my view. If you want to vote for Chase, go ahead. He's a good guy. His policies are closer to mine anyway, to be forward with you. When it comes to policy issues, Chase is closer to me than anybody else. Not even close. He's the closest to me by far. Not even close. But I don't think he can make impact, Ken. I don't think he can. But I could be wrong. And I'm open to being wrong. Jay says, thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. The super chat. Why do you think Bobby dropped out of Maine's RCV ballot? Could have gotten votes without spoiling. I don't know. I wish I knew more of what they're doing, right? I really do not want him dropping in all these states. But, who knows what deal he's made. Republicans in general, and I mean Republican establishment, they do not like ranked choice voting at all. You hear all the time, ranked choice voting ruins everything. Blah, blah. It doesn't at all. It's absolutely not true. But it doesn't matter. Republicans can't stand it. They think it's going to make sure they lose. And I think that might actually happen. Democrats have embraced it a couple times here or there. They're not as anti. I mean, they're anti too, but not as anti. Republican establishment hates ranked choice voting and talks bad about it all the time. It could be because of that. That might have been a deal he made. I just realized I did not bring something up. Lynn, you talked about Nicole Shanahan running for governor of California. Yes, this would be a great thing if she wants to run another independent candidate in California. The thing about California, how they work, for those who don't know, they have what's called a jungle primary. I don't know if you guys know what that is. A jungle primary means virtually everybody runs in one big primary. And then the top 2 get to go to the actual to go to the actual election day. I don't like this method. I don't, but I get why they do it, and it is what it is, and I'm not going to change it. I hate the method, because now what that means is sometimes you're going to have 2 Democrats. I'm not joking. That will happen. 2 Democrats will go to, because if the state's so Democratic or so Republican, with that method, you might have 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans there, right? It could actually happen. I'm assuming that Shanahan would run as an independent, either as a We the People or something like that. If she does, she will have to basically beat the Republican. The top Democrat is going to come in number 1 in California. That's going to happen. The question is who comes in second. If it's a popular Republican, he or she will come in second, Republican, Democrat. If it's a throwaway Republican, like they don't care, it's some guy to fill a seat because everyone knows they can't win, then a Democrat actually might beat the Republican. It'll be two Democrats that'll go to November. But if Shanahan can beat them both and get on that Democrat, it'll be Shanahan and her. Shanahan and him, whoever the person is, if it's Newsom again, whatever. Shanahan, Newsom will go into November. That's a winnable race. An independent versus a Democrat in California is a winnable race. The problem is the Republicans probably won't back an independent. They should, but they probably won't. Why? Because here's what they do. If you guys don't know why they do it, why would I'm giving you guys a lot of inside baseball. I hope you guys want to hear this stuff. I'm giving you a lot of inside baseball. Why in the world would some Republican want to run for governor when they know they have no chance of victory? Why would you do that? There are several reasons. I'll talk about California specifically. The simplest one is you want to raise your profile. You're writing a book. You've got a cool podcast. I'm not joking. You have a TV show, something like that. So you raise. The advantage of politics is if you go back 30 or 40 years, you find people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who before he ran for office was a popular movie star. Being a popular movie star kind of crossed all of the current media of the day. You'd be in the radio, TV, a little bit online, if there was some of that, but you'd be in all types of stuff. Now, many celebrities are niche and they focus on certain areas. They're known in certain places, right? If you aren't interested in independent politics, you probably don't know who I am, right? I'm popular only within that specific niche and really in libertarian circles, but also independent circles, right? If you're in the independent world, you know me. Otherwise, you don't know who I am, right? It's very niche. But running for office crosses everything. So if I'm some guy who runs a podcast, or I'm some guy who wrote a book, or I'm some guy who has a radio show, I'll run for office. I'll cross all of the media. People will know me. They'll buy my books. I'll become more popular. That's option one. Option two, I'm just trying to grow myself for another run. So let's say, for example, I know I can't win a statewide election. It's impossible. I'm a Republican. There's no way I could do it. I'm a Republican. Could never do it. Okay, great. But I run for governor so that people will give me money, see me speak. I'll be more popular. Now I run for Congress, which is a district that's local, that I have a chance of winning when I just made myself popular and raised money running for governor, and now I win. That happens all the time. That happened here in New York City. Malinakis, who is now a congressman out of New York City. There's a couple of red districts within New York City. There's like 50 districts. No, I'm sorry. 12 districts for Congress in New York City. Like one is red or two are red, something like that. Only a couple are red. Most are blue. But Malinakis wanted to be a congressperson. So what did she do? She ran for mayor. Never going to win in a million years and got slaughtered. Was never going to win. New York City, 6-1 Democrat, Republican. Republicans don't win mayors. Our last Republican mayor was Bloomberg. The guy who ran for president as a Democrat. That was our Republican mayor. That's how New York City works. So she knew she wasn't going to win. But what happened? She became popular. People know who she was. She was on the debate stage. Oh, my God. Then when she went to run for Congress, she win. So you run to set yourself up for the next one knowing you're going to win. So if the Republicans have one of those people doing it, then maybe. But they don't. It's like they're like, hey, Johnny, will you become our sacrificial lamb this time? All right, fine, I'll run. If that guy runs, Nicole has a shot at victory. So, and I'm giving you guys so much. I don't want to blow your minds because I know it's a lot of stuff that I haven't talked about much, but happy to have the conversation. Yanette, thank you. $20. Larry, you're the sharpest in the box in the way you educate. Thank you. Generally speaking, follow the money. Yes, that is usually what it is. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I really do. All right, let me grab some more of these if I can. I know you have a lot of questions. I'll try to grab them if I can. All righty. Pete says, but Larry, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Yeah, isn't it always? Isn't it always? This is the most important 5% election. How about that? Does that spin it fairly? Because there's a chance of someone. To be forward, I did believe, I was wrong, but I believed in 2016 that Gary Johnson could get 5%. I did. I thought he could do it, and I was voting for him to get 5%. I was. If any of you were paying attention, I was on TV for him. I was his surrogate. I was literally. I debated for him in New York City. Like I stood in his stead in Connecticut, DC. I raised money for him in DC. I raised money for him in New York City, in Times Square. Right? Didn't matter. I raised money for him. I thought he was going to get. I really thought he was going to get 5%. He only got 3%. Since then, no one's had any chance. Bobby Kennedy Jr. has a chance. He could get it. Yeah. Vivek asked, do you think Chase Oliver will get 5% in the national vote? Who would you recommend people vote for in states like Kennedy will not be in the ballot? I don't. I don't mean to be mean, but people ask me all the time. No shade on Chase. None. No shade on Jill Stein. No shade on Cornel West. I know all of them. I've been on stage with both of them. It's fine. No worries. No shade on that. They can't raise the money. And I've said this before, and some people get mad when I say it, but it is true. If you don't have cash, you cannot run a national campaign. You just can't. Gary Johnson raised $13 million and got 3%. With $13 million, the two candidates for the past 16 years, presidential candidates, Democrat and Republican, have not taken matching funds because it caps you at $200 million. They're all spending more than $200 million. Chase will probably not raise $1 million. You're not in the game. I don't mean to be mean. I'm trying to be forward. You're not in the game. Right? Jill Stein, not in the game. Cornel West, not in the game. So here is what I believe you should do. If RFK Jr. was not running, I would write in Chase Oliver. Tell you the truth, that's what I would do. It'd be a virtue signal vote. It would have no impact, but I had no chance of making impact anyway. So I'll virtue signal vote because I can't do anything. So virtue signal vote. I'll do that. I've done it before. I voted for Jo Jorgensen in 2020. She wasn't going to get me ballot access in New York State. She wasn't going to win or get 5%. I knew that, but that's what I had. Virtue signal. Jo Jorgensen happily did it and said it and probably did it and still will tell everybody I voted for Jo Jorgensen. Yes, take that. That's my virtue signal. I have a chance at making impact this year. So I don't want to virtue signal because I can make impact. If I couldn't make impact, I would be virtue signaling. What else are you going to do? There's nothing else to do. The system makes it so that we can't do anything. In my state, New York State, if Bobby Kennedy Jr. does not win his lawsuit, there will be no independent choice in the ballot in my state. None. Chase is not in my state. I can't vote for Chase. He's not going to be in my state. He didn't make ballot. Neither did Jill Stein. Neither did Cornel West. So I'm either voting Bobby Kennedy, or if he doesn't make it, I guess I'm writing in Chase Oliver. That's all I can do. I go back to virtue signaling, right? Because he is the closest to my policy issues. But I'm trying to make impact here. And I think that's the key. You might ask, Larry, if Chase is closest to you in policy, why wouldn't you vote for him? What I just said. Here's the piece that's even more important. And I got to keep going here for a second. I'm glad you brought us up, Vivek. If Bobby Kennedy gets 5%, and when he gets to 5%, the We the People Party becomes a real party. He's just broken a hole for others to walk through. Now, people like me in 2028 won't be going, nobody could give 5%. They'll be going, Kennedy just got 5%. Let's get behind whoever is Jill Stein's, successor. Thank you. Successor. Whoever is Jill Stein's successor. Let's get behind him or her. Because look, Bobby did it. We can do it. Let's get behind whoever is Chase Oliver's, successor. Let's get behind him or her. Because now we can do it. You break a hole for others, right? Others see it. Others do it. Others recognize. That's the impact I'm talking about. This year, that's not going to happen. So, yes. All righty. Thank you for that. And again, guys, I'll take any question. If you don't like what I'm saying, I'm happy to talk about that. Paul says, wouldn't that increase our ballot access too? Yes, if he is on the ballot in certain states, and depending upon the state, most states, not all, but most have a percentage that allows you to now be on the ballot in the next cycle. Sometimes it's a 4-year cycle, depending on the state. Sometimes it's a 2-year cycle. If it's a 2-year cycle, you have to do it again in 2026. Now, the advantage is if you get the ballot access in 2024, you are automatically on the ballot in 2026. You just have to maintain the percentage. So say you had to spend $500,000 getting the ballot in state X. Well, if you make the percentage at election day, now you're on the ballot 2 years from now. You don't have to worry about the signatures. That payment is gone. As long as you make your 2% again, you're on again. And it keeps going. As long as you make 2%, you can stop paying the money. That's the glory. If you lose 2%, you got to pay all the money again and do it all over again and start from scratch. That's how that works. I hope that was clear. So spaces, I never checked the box. Me neither. I'm with you, brother. Me neither. Yes. So Pinkabell says, $2 million, goodness. That's nothing. Pinkabell, that's chump change. That's the kids' table. I mean, I'm kidding. It's not really kidding, but you know what I'm saying? These guys, if I remember right, I saw something. I don't know how, if someone could check this out to let me know. I saw someone say that this year, the total cost of the campaign, if you include primaries and the general, will be almost $10 billion. $10 billion. $10 billion to anoint our emperor or empress. I'm not joking. That's what it is. There's no value presented. There's no value made there. We're spending $10 billion to anoint our emperor or empress. And people are mad at the royal family. Why? The royal family in the UK has a lot of its own money, number one. Plus, it brings literally billions of dollars in tourism. So that's to the UK. Billions of dollars in tourism. People love the royal family. Even when they're crazy, they love the drama. People, if any of you have been either lived there or been to the UK, if you go to touristy areas, everywhere you go, there's like a plate with like Princess Diana's face on it for like $30 or something. And there's a shirt with like Queen Elizabeth on it for like $50 or something. They're making a killing. I wanted to buy it too. I mean, I didn't because I'm too much a libertarian to buy monarchy crap. But I wanted to. I thought it was cool, right? I did think it was cool. So they at least bring tourism and have their own money. They just take our money away when we anoint our empress or our emperor. So yes, that's how that works. So Yanep says, Larry, you are the first person I look to for on YouTube for any updates, most current information from you. Rock on the show. Oh, thank you, my friend. I do appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Let's hear. Paul says, doesn't help too much if they aren't freedom-loving candidates, though. Agreed. I think you're right. And generally speaking, I'm trying to make impact. But you're correct. Yes. John says, Larry, I'm cooking up my own conspiracy theory on how they get the 5%. JB drops and Harris is the president. And the powers that be slow pitch her some home runs just before the election. I think that, look, I already called this. And you see it's happening now. I told you guys before what was going to happen. Harris is being prepped every day for this debate and for the press. She's being prepped because she has no actual policies. She has no center. I'm not trying to put shade on Harris. It's not I'm being forward here. You know, people say, well, wait a minute. She was for this and now she's for that. She's for nothing. So she will be for whatever will get her elected. As I said, I very often compared it to Andrew Cuomo here in New York. Cuomo is not actually a Democrat. I mean, he is by title, but he's a Cuomoist. He would be whatever. He'd be a libertarian Republican tomorrow. He doesn't care. He'd be a Green Party guy tomorrow if he thought it would get him elected. He wants power. He will be the party that will get him into power, and he'll change his policies accordingly. He doesn't care. That's not his thing. Harris is the same. Harris said she was for Medicare for all. Why? Because she thought they'll get elected. Now she's not. Why? That'll get her elected. She doesn't care. So because she doesn't care, she's not paying attention. She's not passionate about it. She doesn't know the policies. She doesn't care. So they have to prep her so she can know how to answer the questions. Now, why is Walz going to be with her? I told you what would happen. They're going to prep her all day and then give her a softball. To your point, Josh, give her a softball interview. She's bringing Dad. I'm not joking. She's bringing Walz with her. This is true, guys. Her next interview, she's bringing her dad. She's bringing Walz with her to go on her interview with her dad next to her. Isn't that sweet? She's bringing her dad, and they're going to talk. Why? Because Walz is actually a true believer. Walz is a true believer. He believes in those policies. He does, and he knows them because he's a true believer. He knows them. So if she gets in trouble, Dad is there. All good. That's the softball. If she screws up too much, Walz steps in, protects her. Right? All good. That's her first entryway into it. It's going to be what is it, ABC? I forgot. Whoever it is. It's CNN. It's some softball. We love you. Hugs and kisses. Dad's there to save you. That'll be it. That's how now Harris will begin to get herself into it. And depending on how that goes, that will decide whether Trump decides if he wants to debate or not. And also whether she wants to debate. This debate may not happen. If I'm talking to Harris right now, if I'm consulting her, I'm like, maybe we want to get sick on that day. Maybe you want to get sick on that day because maybe you don't want to show up. That's all. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Grab a couple more here. Phil says, when we had ballot acts in New York, we needed around 50 libertarians to get an assembly candidate on the ballot. Yes, 50 libertarians. You need 50 signatures. That's it. 50. You can get a talented, not even great, a talented signature gatherer can get that, I'm not joking, in one day. That's one day's work. If you have many people doing it, it's a couple days. A super guy, like who's been doing it before, knows where to go, how to do it, knocks it out in an afternoon. Done. That's how fast it was. So, which was a percentage of registered libertarians. After that, we needed 5 to 10,000 signatures for the same seat. Look at that. 5 to 10,000. Some of the best signature gatherers, usually paid, will get 100 a day. 100 a day. So that's 100 days of great ballot signatures, great ballot signature getters. And nowadays in New York State, the average, probably you're going to pay an hourly rate, because New York State, you can't pay by the signature. They made sure that was hard too. They changed the law to make sure that you can't pay by the signature. So now someone can come to you and say, I'll get signatures for you, Larry. They work for 8 hours, do nothing. They play video games, they ignore. I have to pay them for 8 hours. They gave me nothing. I threw that money away. And they'll charge you anywhere from, I'm not joking, $20 to $30 an hour nowadays, because everyone needs to get it, because all the parties are trying to grow. So they're all hiring the same people. They do 20, 30 bucks an hour. Imagine that. $240 for 1 day's work to do nothing. You sit home. In fact, you can have your old job. You can just tell me, you can do it for me, have a regular job, go to your regular job, ignore me for the day. I come by and go, where's my signatures? I didn't do any. I fire you. Great. I have to pay you $240. You got 20, 40 bucks for nothing. Multiply that by 100 people. That's $24,000 I got to pay people to do nothing. That happened in 2022. More than once. Yes, that's how New York State works. And they know it, to be forward. They know it. That's why they make the rules. Because they know that, a big campaign like the Trump campaign or the Harris campaign, if they lose $24,000, so they call it one of their donors, refills that coffer in 5 seconds. You're independent, that destroys you. That crushes you. It crushes you. So yes. That libertarian lady, can we talk a little bit about RFK policy? Seems a little weak on 2A. I would rather not talk about policy, Liberty Lady, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about impact and growing. The reality of it is he's probably not going to win. I mean, again, there's a chance, but probably not. But he can make impact, and he can focus on the areas like HHS, maybe even Attorney General, all those things. So yeah, you know why I don't want to make that conversation. You're very aware why I don't want to do that. So I'm being transparent and upfront about this. I want to be very clear. I have never said one time, ever, have I ever said that RFK Jr. is a libertarian. I've never said that. And neither is he. To be fair and transparent on both sides, he has shared that he has some libertarian values. And that's true. He does have some libertarian values and he has some libertarian policies. That's true. And something else, he does respect libertarian ideals. He respects them. That's true. He's not a libertarian though. And I never said he was, and he never said he was. Just saying that. So yes. All righty. I can grab down here. Empowered Fam says, you're the real deal, Larry. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's great. Yes. All righty. CD Melanie says, Supreme Court needs term limits 4 years. I have a different plan, CD. I think the right answer, if you're going to keep nine justices, is 18 years. Why? Because then every 2 years you rotate one out. So every president gets 2. Right? You literally say your term limit is now 18. And the next 2 years, whoever's the most senior, gone. Next year's the most, if it's over 18, gone, until you're back down to everyone going 18 years. Every 18 years. This way, everyone gets 2. If someone happens to die, then that's an exception, obviously. But they get 18 years. Doesn't matter. 18 years should be the answer. I think that's the answer. So yes. Sarah says, not much extra cash this week. Thanks, Larry. Oh, thank you for the super chat. One nice. Fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're watching and sharing. That is critical. Thank you very much. Yes. Peace Logic, $5. Thank you, sir. More precisely, RFK Jr. gets 5%. Who gets matching federal funds? Any independent. Okay. That becomes confusing. The problem is, and this is why I'm glad you brought this up. The people are asking about the law. The law isn't crystal clear. It isn't. It isn't. Who decides it is that candidate. That candidate decides it. Now, here's the other weird part. The candidate is going to decide, like Bobby Kennedy is in multiple parties, right? So he's in like the American Independent Party in this one. He's in the Natural Law Party in that one. He's in the We the People Party in that one. All right, here's the next piece. People say, well, Larry, he can't actually do it because of multiple parties. Not true. he has to be a member of a federal party, whichever one. Now, I think some of them are applying, some of them aren't. As long as they apply to become a federal party before election day, that's all that matters. So say, for example, that We the People says, we are a federal party. They do it before the election day, whatever that is, they do it. Okay, great. Once they're the federal party, that federal party, he was a member of that party, him and that party get the money. The reality of it is he becomes, if I'm not mistaken, he becomes either the chair or he somehow becomes a member of that party. I forgot the rules. In New York State, you become the chair automatically. You have to have elections and rules to change that. When I got ballot access in 2018 in New York State, I was officially, by New York State law, the chair of the Libertarian Party. I did not want to be chair. I gave the party back to the delegates. I chaired the first meeting, and I did two things. I called the meeting to order and then ran the election to replace me. That's on record. In 2019, I think it was January 2019, I think it was when I did it. We ran our first meeting. I chaired the meeting and then ran the election to replace me. And then I was out. I didn't even put myself on the executive committee. I did my job and I walked away. Bobby will do something like that. So he'll do his job in some way and then walk away. And someone will be the chair of the National Party. Now, how that works, I got a frog in my throat. At that point, the chair of the National Party will have rules, and some of them will have their executive committee. That committee will select who their affiliate is in every state, 50 states, plus if there's Puerto Rico, DC. So you don't have to be named the same thing to be an affiliate of the National Party. People don't know this either. So if you are, I'm now the chair of the We the People Party of America. Right now, I have no affiliates. It's just me at the top. I have no state affiliates. So I select them by some rules, whatever those rules are. So I can make the natural party of whatever, Wisconsin, the We the People Party affiliate in Wisconsin. So now if you remember that party, you're a part of the We the People Party. I can do that in all the states. I pick what I want. The actual party name of the Libertarian Party of New York, prior to it becoming an actual official party, it was like the Free Libertarian Party or something like that. It wasn't called Libertarian Party officially, but it was the Libertarian Party affiliate in New York State. Therefore, it was Libertarian Party in New York State. I know that seems a little convoluted, but that's how it works. Federal party is different than a state party. If you have a federal party, you must then have affiliates within each state and or territory. So what you have there with the people, he would run that officially at the federal level. They get the money, the matching funds, him and they get the money, then he would decide. I hope that makes sense. And by the way, there will be many lawsuits, guaranteed. Democrats will sue saying he didn't do it right, he can't do it, it's against FEC. You guarantee there'll be, and because the laws aren't perfect, it hasn't been done before like this, so they didn't know what was going to happen. So it's going to be a disaster. We'll be setting precedent in the next 2 years on what really works, what doesn't work. There will be lawsuits. And the Democrats probably do it on purpose to make sure whatever money he gets goes to lawyers and doesn't go to some other candidate. I hope that answers your question. All righty. So I think I did the 18-year thing. I did that one. Yeah. All right. See if I can grab a couple more of these here. The Amp Corporator says, actually, Scaramucci had a good interview with Ziteo today. He thinks that if Trump wins, he'll undo democracy. But, what does he know? Well, this is a great point, right? This is my point that I bring up. Is it possible that Trump has changed? Maybe. I don't know Trump. Maybe. But I don't want to trust him. Why would I? Your point is a valid point. Why would I trust him? I want to have insurance to ensure that he does what he says he does, which is 5%, which is a political party. That's insurance. Otherwise, you're right. He does whatever he wants when he wants to. Maybe he's changed again. I don't know. Maybe. But I don't want to trust him. I want to have insurance. That's what I want to do. So Rick says, glad I live in a non-swing state. I'm not required to call upon Orange Jeebus to save us, and I have considered that option. I hate wasting my vote in establishment. Rick, I'm with you. Thank you for being a member, my friend. I appreciate that tremendously. Yes. So Ryan Murphy, thank you for the $5. Also being a member. I appreciate it. When it comes to term limits, you should only serve 10 years in the House, 12 years in the Senate, and 8 years in the Supreme Court. I would buy that. Why 10 for the House? I'm not against it. I've always heard that it will be 12 for either. And that if you wanted to, you could swap out if you wanted to. Some people also say, have a caveat. It's 12 years total. Some say 12 years consecutive. So either way, I think we have to make sure that's clear. In other words, could someone say, sir, if they can only do 12 years, serve 12 years, then skip a year, and then serve 12 more. To be forward, that's how Vladimir Putin is in Russia. They have term limits. So he did X number of years as president. Then that guy Medvedev came in, and then he ran again, because as long as it's not consecutive, you can keep doing it. That's how it works in Russia. Do we want something like that to where they can, 12, but then if you lose 6 years later, you can run again and do another 12. And also, would it matter in the House completely? In other words, there's 2 senators. So could you run 12 years for the first slot and then 12 years for the second? And I'm just saying we'd have to clarify this, is all I'm saying. And then in the House, total in the House, would it matter if you move states? Could I do, 10 years in New York and 10 years in Jersey? Could I do that or not? And again, I'm not saying I'm not saying which one's right. I'm just saying we'd have to clarify that. In my view, I think it should be 12 in the Congress, but I would take 10. I'm not fighting you, Ryan. I take 10. 12 in the Senate, overall period. Doesn't matter if that's in a row, once or twice. Doesn't matter what state. Doesn't matter where it is. That is what I would do. And the reason why I said that is, if you made it like this, there will be lawsuits saying what Ryan meant when he wrote the law was 12 years in a row. Or what he meant when he wrote the law was, that's only if I'm in New York. He doesn't mind if I serve in New Jersey. So you would have to clarify this to say it's 12 years, period, no matter what. Doesn't matter how often or where, if it's consecutive, what state, and then Supreme Court too. And the second piece is it for Congress? So could I do 12 years as a congressman and then 12 years as a senator or not? Right? I'm not sure if I'm torn on that one. Maybe. My gut says it's the Congress period, right? It doesn't matter. Maybe it's 12 years period. Doesn't matter how you do it, right? Just 12 years in Congress period. 6 years in the Senate and 6 years in the House, doesn't matter. But again, you see where you hear me talk about law so much because I've been sued so many goddamn times over these laws. I like the concept completely, Ryan. We got to make sure we're clear on which one, where, and how. Otherwise, you will remember the vast majority of people in Congress are lawyers. The vast majority are lawyers. They can't wait to sue you for this stuff. They can't wait. So, yes. All righty. No soundbites alive. Mike, how are you, Mike? Mike Voss is here. Funny how Dems, party of joy and democracy, are the ones censoring every voice and person to prevent what you are suggesting. Seems to mean you have a point if they're so scared. I'm not sure if that was for me or not, but yes. 100% correct. Yes, absolutely. So, Marcus Carter, how are you, sir? Says, Larry, I'm running as an independent in Florida's 9th congressional district, and you're hitting the nail on the head. Independence and divided government are extremely powerful. Yes, yes, and yes. Particularly if you're in a body that is evenly matched, right? They aren't as powerful if the body's not evenly matched. But if it's matched, imagine for a second that my scenario actually happens. There's 46 Republicans, 48 Democrats, 47 Republicans, 47 Democrats, and 6 We the People Party members in Congress. I'm making that up, 6. And now they want to pass a law that says, we're going to go bomb so-and-so country. And the 6 go, no. No. So now you have to get both Republicans and Democrats to agree to bomb a country. Now, would they? Yes, but now they can't blame the other. That's the only difference. They can't blame the other now. Now, would they get together? Of course they would. Of course they would. They love bombing countries. So they'll find a way to bomb a country, don't get me wrong. But now they can't use it as a wedge issue anymore. Not just that. What if we say, okay, you can do it, but here's the rules behind it. So you can't bomb as much. That will suck. They're still bombing, but maybe we'll bomb less. Either way, they listen to us. And now we can try to filibuster. To, again, get press on. What are you voting on? We're voting on bombing some country. Americans, look, we're bombing countries. Let's vote on that. So it does make sense. What if it's a bill for funding something? Well, if it's funding something like, I don't know, things that we know we don't want, maybe we stop them or slow them down or change things. All those things are appropriate. So yes, absolutely. All righty. Hold on. Before I go to this one, let me finish this piece up. One more piece. What a lot of people don't know is right now, if you have a congressperson that you vote on, that you vote to go to Congress, and you go, I'm bringing this person to Congress because I want them to put my bills on the floor. I think these bills are important. I think these laws are important, whatever the case may be. He can't. I'm not joking. He can't. He physically cannot. Well, yes, he can. Larry is a congressman. He writes laws. He can write a law all day long. He can write 20 of them if he wants to. not going on the floor. Why not? The person who decides what law we vote on, and again, I'm not joking, is the Speaker of the House, a party member. They have now the parties made a rule which is totally unconstitutional, should not exist, and no one will stop it. I'm not joking. So whoever is the Speaker of the House, they decide what we vote on. They decide it. They just themselves, they say, I don't want to vote on that. Doesn't get voted on. They say, we'll get voted on. They vote on it. So your congressperson, who you voted for in the Constitution, who said you get to present bills to be voted on, they cannot because of the rules they made up in Congress. So now I'm an independent guy. I come in, I'm going to put his bill, and the Democrat who's in charge of Republicans says no. Yeah, but I'm a congressman. I know. Get away from me. Goodbye. Mess around, I'll sanction you. I'll sanction you. They'll charge them money. The Speaker can do that too. You piss the Speaker off, they charge you money. Yes, I'm not making this up. They threatened Fetterman with that. Remember with his dress code? They threatened him with that. Change the dress code, or we're going to charge you money. Yes. Now, where's that in the Constitution? It's not. They made those rules up. The parties run everything. So literally, the job of your congressman is the reason why Justin Amash left Congress. And he asked him why. They said, why you leave Congress? Why? He said, because I can't do anything. They won't put my bills up, so I can't vote on them. So no bills. They won't vote on them at all. So why am I doing this? He says, I'll make more impact on Twitter. Think about it. The people who you like, how many bills do they put up? None. They write them. Do they get voted on? No. Of course not. Because the Speaker of the House doesn't care what you think. The Speaker of the House cares what the big donors think. So what gets voted on? What big donors want. That's the current system. So I'm going to bring that up before we moved on. That's how it actually works. I know that seems odd, but if anything you think I'm making up, I say publicly all the time. Look it up. It's true. The Speaker of the House decides what bills get voted on. Please find that in the Constitution for me. You can't find it. They just made that up. So that's why the Speaker of the House is so popular. They decide what laws we vote on. So why is he going to get you to vote on a law that he doesn't like? He's not going to. Why would he? Never going to. Peace Lodge, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think RFK has some sort of insurance? Is he just trusting Trump, or does he have tangible insurance? Here is my biggest worry. And I don't know this. My biggest worry is when Trump called RFK Jr., and he called him twice, if you remember. He called him right after the attempt on his life. I think Trump bonded, or maybe RFK Jr. bonded with Trump, or they bonded with each other over that. I mean, assassinations, Bobby's got that in his past, obviously, right? Obviously, he's got that in his past. I thought they bonded over that. Does that mean that Trump actually is closer to Bobby and trusts him? Maybe. I don't know Trump. Maybe. I wouldn't trust it. That is what I'm saying. But is it possible this changed Trump and there's a bond between these two guys? Maybe. It could happen. I don't know that. I don't know Trump at all. I mean, I've met him one time, like 30 years ago in New York City once. I'm sure he doesn't remember me. It was a bunch of people. I shook his hand once, like years ago. I'm sure he doesn't remember who I am at all. And I don't know him. I just happened to meet him once in a crowd. So I don't know him at all. Maybe. I think he feels there's a bond. That would be my gut, because I don't know what insurance you'd have unless you get 5%. That to me is the insurance. I don't see any other insurance besides that. I can't imagine it. Hope that answers your question. So, all righty. Matt says, how does an independent party not fall into Dems or Republican sketchiness? There's only one way, and over time it would. So people used to tease me. They would say, Larry, how do we know you're not corrupt? When I was running for governor, I'll say, I don't know enough people yet. Like, I can't be corrupt yet. Could I be eventually? Yeah. Which is why I like term limits. So me and Ryan are talking about term limits. Me and Ryan are talking about term limits, not because we're mad at people. That's not why. Because we know the longer you stay, the more corrupt you get. So could I become corrupt? Sure. I would hope I wouldn't. I would try not to, but I'm still human. Am I open to it? I don't want to be, but I don't think most people go in going, I can't wait to be corrupt. Some do. Don't get me wrong. Some absolutely do. But I think most go in believing that they're going to do the right thing and they're going to be good. And before you know, they're corrupt. So I don't think we can stop it. The question would be, if we have an environment to where there are multiple parties. And sorry, you just made me bring the next piece up. Let's assume for a second that we actually do get the 5%, and we do by 2028 now have 50 state ballot access for the We People Party. What if the Libertarians also do it? The Greens probably won't, but what if they do? What if they become the anti-war left, supports them more, and they do it too? Sake of argument. Imagine 3 independent parties with 50 state ballot access. Matt, that's how we stop it. All 3 of them would never be corrupt. It's just not a thing. You couldn't have 5 corrupt parties. Why? Because the people who are new and over the new thing will always go to certain parties. And what makes you not corrupt? When you're an ideologue. I'm not joking. So when you're an ideologue. When you're like, no, I'm here for the, it's about the music, man. When you're that guy. I'm here for the mission. And when you stay in the same party for so long, the mission goes away. You can see it with the Republican. The Republican Party has done very good when it comes to absorbing movements. Democrats fight the movement and push it out and try to destroy it. What Republicans do is they absorb it and destroy it, right? Remember Tea Party? Tea Party was something real, right? Tea, taxed enough already. That's what Tea Party stood for those who don't know. That's what it stood for, taxed enough already, right? Tea Party. We're going to stop that. And the Republicans came in, oh, we're like you, and took them over, and it hasn't changed. But now there's a Tea Party group in the Republican Party. What Republicans did very well is they brought them in and then pushed them out to Fox News. If you haven't noticed, a whole lot of people on Fox News' Sunday show, Saturday show, they're all former Tea Party people. So they brought them in and said, hey, wouldn't you like a nice cushy job on Fox? You can talk your trash, write a book, meet cool people, get a nice salary, and shut up. And they went, that's a good idea. And they went to Fox, got cash, write books, meet cool people, and shut up. The Republican Party officially has a Tea Party, but it's done nothing for the Tea Party at all. Liberty Caucus, same thing. Justin Amash started the Liberty Caucus. He began it. He's now out. He left. He left his own caucus because Liberty Caucus isn't about liberty. It's still just Republicans who are like mad. They're like semi-anti-establishment Republicans, kind of. They're not about liberty. So again, took Liberty Caucus, sucked it all up, and then went, thanks, get out. There's no Liberty Caucus anymore. So Republicans take it and slaughter it. And then so they're good. That is my worry about this one. I go back to the insurance piece, right? If we don't have insurance, all the things that Bob, medical freedom, food safety, those who take it, go away. I want some insurance. So I'm talking about this. The insurance for people not becoming sketchy is multiple parties that the people who are hardcore will go to. And you still always have at least 1 or 2 parties checking the others. That if you look even in foreign countries that have other parties, it doesn't always work because often 2 parties rock and roll. But who is the one party that checks the others? It's always a third party. A third party is the one that may not win the election, but they're the ones who check the other ones. They're the ones who are the hardcore people, who are the people who are, in theory, not corruptible. Obviously, everyone is, but they're not corruptible. They're the ones who do that, right? So that is how you do it. More parties moving back and forth. The longer you stay in the party, the more corruptible you are, right? Which is why I said, even if I became governor of New York, I said I wouldn't stay more than 2 terms. And there's no term limits in New York State. I can stay governor forever, in theory. And if Cuomo wouldn't have been a butt grabber, Cuomo would still be our governor now. There is no term limits. And Hochul will be our governor for 20 years. I'm not even joking. She'll be a governor for a long time. Unless an independent shows up, she'll be our governor for a very long time. I would guess, 16 years would be my guess. I'm not even joking. For a long time. There's nothing to stop her. No one can stop her. And she gives out jobs like there is no tomorrow. She is a job giver. And that's why people vote for her. They patronage for her. I went long, but I hope I answered that question. I don't mean to go long, guys, but I'm just trying to give you guys the most detail that I can give you. So, yes. Mr. Matt's Arcades, I'm disappointed. I just found out last night that Kennedy was removed from the New Hampshire ballot. I want to contribute towards the... Oh, I did not know. That's terrible. They keep throwing people off the ballot. Just keep doing it. And, the thing that I love about this, I want you all to think about this. You will hear people to me go, they got to follow the rules. Rules that they make up. What if I said, the rule for you to be on YouTube is you can't have an arcade in your name. You got to follow the rules, Matt, so you can't do it. What? That's a rule I just made up. How is that fair? Then you might say, well, Larry, it's a private company. This isn't a private company. This is our election system. And make up rules. Another thing, made up rules. The answer here that bothers me more than anything else is if you think something's wrong, like an argument I get, well, Larry, shouldn't he have put the right this or the right timing? Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong if he made an error. Okay. How is the remedy for the error? People can't vote for him. 1 million people signed a piece of paper. I'm not joking. 1 million people signed a piece of paper saying they want him to be on the ballot. You throw him off the ballot. You just said 1 million people's right to vote. 1 million people's rights to vote is removed because he made a clerical error. That's the remedy. Why isn't the remedy fix the error? Fix the error. So in my driver's license, there's a misspelling on my driver's license. Someone forgets the E on my name. And a cop pulls me over and says, oh, wait a minute. That's not you, Larry Sharpe. I know you, Larry Sharpe. Your name has an E at the end. Oh, yeah, they made a clerical error. Okay, good. I'm going to put you in jail for life and confiscate your car. What? What? Yeah. I'm going to do. Well, look, you made an error. Larry, follow the rules. Okay? There's an error. So you're in jail forever and I'm taking your car. That's insane. You said, Larry, this is illegal license right now. Go get it fixed at 30 days, or I'm fining you, or I'm going to take your license. Oh, okay, that's fine. The remedy of the error is to fix the error. Makes sense. That makes total sense. If I screwed up on my driver's license, give me some time to fix it. If I don't fix it, I get punished in some way. Makes total sense. I get that. Everyone can understand that. We're gonna put you up against the wall and shoot you. What? That's what their answer is. He made an error, so remove from the ballot. No, he made an error. Fix the error. I know maybe I'm nuts here. So yes. Peace Logic. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate this evening. If you're in a swing state where I can't vote for RFK, what's the best way to use my vote? Is it Trump? You know what? Whatever you feel at that point. At that point, whatever you feel. If you'd rather have Trump, vote Trump. You'd rather have Harris. If you'd rather vote whoever else on your ballot, right? If you have Chase Oliver, Jill Stein, if you have Cornel West, if you like them better. I mean, I don't know your politics, but where I would vote, here's my opinion. If you're in a swing state and you can't vote for Bobby Kennedy Jr., vote whoever you think is closest to you. Because at that point, to me, make your impact, right? Make impact if you can make impact. My thing is, I believe if you can vote for Bobby Kennedy Jr., the 5% is the most impact you can make, period. That is my view in this election cycle. Some people think that's not true. Okay, I get it. I'm not mad at you for it. My view is that's the most impact you can make is get that 5% for RFK Jr. If you can't vote for him, I get it. I may not be able to in my state either. In that case, do what you feel is best. If you think Trump is better, vote Trump. You think Harris is better, vote Harris. In my view, never vote duopoly. That's my view. I'm not voting for Trump or Harris. I am not voting for either of them. I live in New York State. There's a waste of time for me. I will either write somebody in. If I can't get Bobby Kennedy, I'll write somebody in, whoever, I don't know, I'll virtue signal then. Or if Bobby's on the ballot, I will vote for him if he's on the ballot. If he's not, I'll virtue signal somebody. So I think my answer is if you can't make impact that way, make the best impact you can make with your vote. So I would look at your politics. Show me things the best. I'd go that route. And if you hate the duopoly as I do, the closest virtue signal. People tease me because I said one day, I was on some show, I said, if Cornel West was the only guy on my ballot besides the two, I'd vote Cornel West. And we agree on almost no policies. Like what? Yeah, because I don't want, and this is my view, and some of you disagree, and I understand if you do. My view is if we don't get a third party in this of some type, obviously I would prefer libertarian. I'm libertarian. That's what I would prefer. But that's not going to happen this year. That's not going to happen this year. But if we can't get a third party, none of it matters. The country has been on decades of decay as we swapped Democrat, Republican, back and forth. And I go one step further. If you lean right, okay, good for you. No worries. The Republicans have owned the Senate, the House, presidency, the Supreme Court, all four at one time of the past 25 years. Where is your balanced budget amendment? Nowhere. Where is your new rules and laws on the border, changing the immigration laws? Nowhere. Nowhere. Okay, Democrats, you have absolutely had House, Senate, presidency, and the Supreme Court all together. Okay, great. Where's your Medicare for all? Nowhere. Where's your codification of Roe v. Wade? Nowhere. You're not getting what you want. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. How in the world can they keep fighting this war against us by going back and forth and making us hate each other? They're not going to fix the border because they would fight over the border. They're not going to fix abortion because they fight over abortion. They're not going to fix the budget because they fight over the budget. If they can't call other guy bad, they have to actually have policies. They don't want that. Then they'd be accountable for stuff. They don't be accountable. They just want to keep making money, and we're in the way. That's the problem. They want to make money, and we're in the way. Ryan says, policies following rules. Hilarious. Okay, hold on. There is a time when they do. Whichever ruling party has rules that punishes the other, then they follow rules. Then they care all about the rules. Then the rules are all that matters. That's all that matters. But when they're not in charge, rules are stupid. When the rules affect them, that's just dumb. I don't want that. Yeah, it's rules for thee and not for me. Rules are, remember, people talk about election law all the time. Well, we have to have election law, election regulation. That's critical. Campaign finance reform, campaign finance laws and rules. Okay, those are used for only one reason. Only one. To punish small parties. That's what they're used for. To punish your enemies. They're used to punish your enemies, nothing else. But Larry, you tell me you don't want any regulation? I didn't say that. What I said was they're used for that. We have more campaign finance laws, rules, regulations than we've ever had in this country, ever. And we have the most money in politics than we've ever had, ever. We have the most detailed campaign finance rules that we've ever had in our country. And big business and big donors run our politics more than they ever have. It doesn't work. The rules aren't made, and we still do it. He broke campaign finance law. He's a bad guy. No, he made somebody angry. He made somebody angry. That's what happened. They make these rules so they get fined. The big guys don't care. They make rules that say if you do X, Y, and Z, you get fined $10,000. Well, they're raising $200 million. $10 is no deal, no issue. But if I only raise $100,000, I'm finished. That's somebody I can't hire now. Devastates me. Well, what if they're wrong? Go to court. What's the court going to cost you? $10,000. Well, I'm also paid a fine. I can't afford to go to court. I'm also paid a fine. Then once I go to court, that becomes the press. Larry Sharpe's in court for campaign finance stuff. Now I'm a crook all of a sudden. Happens all the time. It's used to punish enemies. Whenever you hear someone broke campaign finance, don't even ignore that. It's probably not even a rule. Don't even worry about it. If it isn't corruption or fraud directly, then maybe it's something. If it's campaign finance, that's just they're trying to punish somebody. I would ignore that. It means nothing. That's how bad it is. Again, we have more campaign finance than we've ever had, and we have more money than we've ever had. This stuff is a joke. This stuff is a joke. So yes, absolutely. So, all righty. If I can go down here. Razdan says, please share and invite. Yes, guys, but more than that. If you haven't already, click the button known as like. Push the button known as like. Hip check the button known as like. Body slam the button known as like. But don't break your device. But yes, all those things. If you want to also, please, if you're watching on Twitter, retweet this, share this on Facebook. Keep it going to the best of your ability. It does matter. If you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, why do you hate me? I give you such entertainment. Are you not entertained? Then subscribe. If you're not entertained, I get it. I'm trying to entertain you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Click that bell so you're notified whenever I go. And if you want to help me out, you see people doing it now, you can always super chat me. I appreciate that. You also can become a member if you want to. I do try to get the members to as fast as I can, get them up there too if I can. So please do that if you can. It always works. But no matter what, hip check, old hockey name, hip check the button. That is like. That'd be nice. So thank you. Yes. Phil says, but Trump is going to win New York and New Jersey. Yeah, I'll keep waiting on that one. I'm going to wait for that one. I'm going to keep waiting for that one. Yes. So Alexa says, in Illinois, I'm pretty sure he's off too. I think we're still fighting that one, Alexa. I don't think he's off yet. I think we're still fighting that one. I'm not sure. So yeah, I think we are still fighting for that one. I'm not sure if we've lost that one yet. I think we have. Sarah says, also remember, thank you, Sarah. Larry, have you ever spoken to the lunatic libertarian farmer, Joel Salatin? I have. I've tried to get him on my show more than once. That man is very busy. I'm going to try again because you just reminded me. I've tried like 3 times. I tried getting him on my show probably 3 years ago, maybe the first time. Then like every year I invite him and try to get him on, and he's busy. So yeah. I will try to get him on again because you mentioned it. I'll reach out again. She says, I would love to hear you share a conversation. I'm not a libertarian, but I always like listening to libertarian. Thank you so much. And that's the key, right? You bring this up. A lot of people think I'm a conservative. I'm not libertarian, which means in certain areas I'm conservative, in certain areas I'm not. But many conservatives in my state like me. Why? I'm not a conservative. Why would they like me? Because I respect them. I respect conservatives. In New York State specifically, the vast majority of conservatives only want one thing: to be left alone. I don't know your state. In my state, the vast majority of conservatives in my state just want to be left alone. I'm like, deal. I will not get in your business. I will let you do you. I will not shut down your churches. I will not get involved in your school. I won't do those things. You can be you. And they're like, thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. And I listened to them. I remember many years ago, I was creating a policy for policing. And I thought I had a good policy for policing. And one guy reached out to me. He's from upstate New York, more Redder County. He says, Larry, your policing policy's off. I'm like, what's going on? You don't get it, blah, blah. So literally, I talked to him. I had him on my show. And I changed my policing policy from what he said. Why? He was I live in New York City. So my policy back then was skewed by my own view of New York City policing, big city policing, right? Well, obviously, if you're not in a big city, policing is very different. So I had to make a change, right? Because I listened to him. I didn't go, you don't know me. I'm smart. I'm New York City smart. I didn't do that. I went, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And we had a conversation. I changed my policy. I actually did it live. I mean, I had him on a show. We did it live. And I changed my policy because he was right. There is a difference in policing in more rural areas than big cities. So why did I bring this up? Guys like Joel think differently. Conservatives think differently. I'm libertarian. Let them live and let live. Live and let live. So thank you for that. All right. The anti-corporatist says, we need to get the big money out of politics, no matter what your political stripe. Our representatives spending over a quarter of their lives, of their waking hours, dialing for dollars. What's your perspective? You are 100% correct. I wish you were wrong, but you are not. You have to have money to run in the way it works here, and that's got to change. But it's absolutely true. I wish it wasn't. I say all the time, I wish it wasn't. I wish that I could have gotten into all the debates. I wish that I could have gotten on the ballot. But I dropped $400,000 in New York State and couldn't get on the ballot. Bobby Kennedy Jr. dropped $1 million and so far can't get on the ballot. We'll see. So yes. All right. Sassy D says, hey all, sorry I'm late. Larry's right about the 5%. I've been seeing it everywhere. People that would be open to this, even Trump supporters that call themselves conservatives. It is a good idea. It is a good idea. Yes, absolutely. It is a good idea. So, all right. See if I can grab down a couple more of these people who've been here before. I'll make sure I'm grabbing some more people here. Tony DeRazio, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Larry, I'm looking for your thoughts on Chase Oliver, Libertarian nominee for president. Would a vote for him be better for someone looking to build the LP? I covered this already. I don't know if you heard it, but I have covered it. Look, I have nothing against Chase. I don't think he can make 5% at all. I don't think he can make impact. If you're more concerned about virtual signaling, letting people know the Libertarian Party exists, or if you can't make impact with an RFK, well, you just hate RFK Jr., either of those things, I think Chase Oliver is a fine vote. I don't have a problem with that. If RFK Jr. wasn't running, I probably would write in Chase Oliver because he's closest to me policy-wise. I just don't think he can make the 10%. I don't think he can make 5%. He's not going to raise $1 million. This Jill Stein is, again, not shade on him. Jill Stein's in the same boat. So is Cornel West. So if you lean left and you like Jill Stein and you like Cornel West, no worries. They're not going to make impact either. But again, if that matters most to you, okay. So yes. Peter says, remember Donnie the Felon visited the Bronx in order to push the narrative New York is in play all over the internet. And it was brilliant. It's BS, Peter. You're correct. New York is not in play. But what that did, it was a brilliant move. Again, I can respect the player. I can respect the game if I'm not going to vote for player. It was a brilliant move. What it did was it made people believe that Trump was open to the black vote. And he is. And the thing is, the advantage he has over Democrats. Democrats will say they care about the black community and diss them all day long because I got this in my pocket. Republicans are terrible at reaching out to the Black community as a whole. There are some Republicans who do a good job of it. There are some. Kim Klacik is a good example of that in Maryland. Great at reaching out to the Black community, right? She's also Black, but she's great at doing it. Not many are, right? Most Republicans are not good at reaching out to the Black community. They struggle, and some don't even bother. They go, why bother? I'm never going to get it. Who cares? They don't. Trump's showing up. The bar is not very high, Peter, if you're a Republican. The bar is low, right? He's a white guy. He doesn't have to be better than Kim Klacik. He doesn't have to be better than her. He has to just be better than, like, I don't know, Mitt Romney, right? He's got to beat Mitt Romney. It's not a high bar. You know what I'm saying? Not a high bar. And he got over it easily. So it was very good for him. It was a good play for him in that regard. I hope that makes sense. So, all right, I've got to grab some more of these if I can. All right. Okay. Angie says, I bet in 2016, Jill Stein got 5%, but the owners of the voting machine sent Jill's votes over to Hillary. Maybe, I don't know. How can we stop that? Will Bobby take legal action if the exit polls are way off? Here is what I will say all the time. I actually don't know about this stuff, right? I have not done a deep dive into the voting and the machines and such. But here's what I tell you is the biggest issue. If you want to fix this issue, more people at the ballot box, more observers. That is how we fix this, Angie. Too many people on election day don't want to bother. They don't bother. If you don't bother, something's going to happen, right? We want people to be there. The more there, the better. Yes. Shannon says, just found out Bobby's off the ballot in Texas. I think he did that on purpose. I think they thought that was more of a swing state. They thought that. I think that's it. So yes. Lunar Eclipse says, Larry, I saw you debate with DNC Shill on News Nation. Good job chiding his hide. Did North Carolina GOP hope Cornel West get in the ballot? What strange bedfellows. That's true, by the way. Some of you don't know this. The Democrats in this cycle have been far worse than Republicans in getting people off the ballot. Far worse. I mean, not even close. They've been terrible at it. So bad that Republicans even stepped in and said, wait a minute, we can't handle this. In North Carolina, the Republican Party did actually help Cornel West stay in the ballot in North Carolina. That's true. That's how bad it was. They actually did stay. So, yes, 100%. All right. See if I can grab some more of these. Let us chat with each other. I appreciate that. B-Lid says, thoughts on states, Nebraska and Maine ranked choice voting. Why don't others copy? Seems like a better option. I agree. I think there is a better option for ranked choice voting. I believe it is better. I do. I think a lot of people disagree with it. I think it's better. For those of you who know what ranked choice voting is, ranked choice voting is you literally rank who you want in what order. So let's say you, for example, you have on your ballot RFK Jr., Trump, and Harris. Well, if you like Bobby, you vote for him number one. But now you're afraid. Wait a minute. I think Harris is a better person, or I think Trump's a better, whatever you think. I'm scared of Harris, and so I got to vote Trump. Well, with ranked choice voting, you'd put RFK Jr. first, Trump number two, and then you wouldn't vote Harris at all because you don't want her at all. Okay. So now, if enough votes, if Bobby Kennedy Jr. gets enough votes in the first round to win, he wins. If he doesn't, you get your second vote, which now goes to Trump. So Trump still gets your vote, right? So it still works either way. It allows you to have an offensive vote and a defensive vote. Now, some people don't care, and they do what's called bullet voting. They go, I don't care, I just love Trump. And they vote Trump only. That's fine, but that kind of blows the entire idea. Now, when you go, he's a spoiler, it destroys the spoiler. Now, whoever's third party is not a spoiler anymore, because if they don't win, your vote goes to the second person. It doesn't stay there, it goes someplace else. That's why this is a very good idea. I think it does work. It allows for offensive and defensive voting, and we should have that. I do believe that completely. We should have that, and we don't right now, which sucks. So, yes, I'm a big fan. I think it's a good idea. John Harold says, Semper Fi, Devil Dog. Semper Fi, brother. Semper Fi. Yes, I do have the USMC. I do have the branding. It is here. Yes, it is. I got that in 1989 in the Philippines, believe it or not. Yes, I'm giving away my age, aren't I? Yes, I did. Got it in 1989 in the Philippines. Back when it was like tough guys got tattoos. That's not true anymore. Like everybody gets tattoos now. You don't have to be a tough guy anymore. Anybody can get tattoos now. Yeah, not that tough guy thing. So yes. All righty. Alexa says, thank you for being a member. She says, that interview that Phil in the Blanks just did was very eye-opening about both Trump and Rudy Giuliani. I have to watch it. I haven't seen that one yet. I got to watch that. Thank you for that. I will look at that tonight, or maybe tomorrow morning. Depends how long I stay up tonight. So yes. Peace Logic, thank you for 999. Says, at a deeper level, how we educate our children is one of the most important things for our future. Logical reason and conflict management. How do we create impact? Yes, and here's a problem, right? You are correct. The problem is our society is telling our kids to not engage. So it's hard to teach them how to engage. Our society is telling, our education system is telling our kids, the goal is not to think, the goal is to obey and regurgitate information. That's what most of our education is right now. Why do I say that? Because the federal government is giving out money to our schools based upon what they get on tests. So testing becomes everything. Now, private schools often don't worry about that as much. So private schools tend to be better, but some of them are bad too. But I'm saying tend to be better, which is why some of the people who are wealthy send their kids to private school, or people who aren't wealthy homeschool their kids if their state allows them anyway. New York State has been terrible with that. One of the advantages, and there are very few advantages to our lockdowns, but one of them was a resurgence in homeschooling. That was an advantage. I think the idea of people considering, those who can, obviously, who want to homeschool their kids, the ability to do so is important. You should be able to homeschool your kids if you want to. I know some people don't want to, don't care. No worries, no shade. Just if you want to, you should be able to. And there are many states that were like literally against it. New York was one of them. New York has really loosened up its rules since the lockdowns. I homeschooled my kids for a couple of years because the lockdowns were terrible for a school system. So yeah, and I also sent my kids to private school and public school. My kids have been through all of it: private school, public school, and also homeschool. All of them. I preferred homeschooling myself, but mom has some say in that too. That's all I'm saying. So yes, but I think you're right. We have to have people be able to have conversations, deal with conflict management without calling the cops, whoever the cops are, right? And handle themselves. Completely agree. And school system is against that. In fact, if you get into a conflict in school, they literally tell you, do not try to solve it. Go get a teacher. I'm not joking. My daughter got in trouble. A bully was messing with her, and she bullied him back, as I told her to do so. Defend yourself always. Do not let a bully you. Always defend yourself. And so they got her in trouble, and they actually called me in, and the vice principal was like, oh, mean to me, and like, usually, Mr. Sharpe, we suspend the kids for this. I said, hold on, make sure I got this right. The boy who was bullying my girl is a known bully and has been suspended before. Yes. So he's a bully, and he was probably bullying my daughter. He's literally been suspended before. My daughter said so as witnesses. Yes. Why are you mad at my daughter? Well, she can't retaliate. So she has to take being bullied. Yes, and tell a teacher. That was the rule. So you're saying you're punishing her for standing up to the bully. Yes. I said, great. Make it a week. He said, what? I said, you said you're going to spend it for a day, right? Yeah, make it a week. I'll take her out. We'll have a great time. I'll reward her. He said, what? I said, yeah, make it a week. Permanent record. I don't care. By the way, that permanent record stuff, all garbage. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if your kid is suspended. That's just garbage. Nobody cares. And I told him that. I said, I don't care. Do it. He's like, no, well, this time we won't. And he didn't. He backed out completely. Why? Because his goal was compliance. That was his goal. And when I wouldn't comply, he went, well, why bother? He doesn't care. He's not going to comply. In fact, he might tell others to copy. I don't want that. Because then if I do that, I take my daughter out and I reward her, then she's going to tell all the kids what a great time she had when she got suspended. So they're going to be like, oh, good. Let's all get suspended. He's like, I can't have that. So he let her go completely. She didn't get punished at all. So, yeah, I taught conflict management. They didn't like that very much. Anyway, I thought it was a cool story. I hope you enjoyed that. So, yes, I was going to grab some more of these. I appreciate all of the comments, guys. It's a whole lot of stuff that you guys are throwing at me, so I'm trying to. All right. Let's see here. Sarah goes on to say, same in Portland, Oregon, not one mayoral candidate who isn't Democrat. Yes, I have it too. Every single one of mine is a Democrat. Every one. And you might go, well, Larry, do you hate Democrats? No, I hate the fact that I have a one-party state, right? I live in North Korea in that regards. One-party state, right? That's not, and this goes to I forgot who asked that question. How do you how do you make sure the parties aren't corruptible? By not having a one-party state, right? By not having that. Not having a one-party state. There are no repercussions for as bad. New York State is so bad. California too. California's losing 500,000 people every couple of years. New York State is losing more than that. Losing 300,000 every year. Live in our state. What's the punishment for our governor? Nothing. Nothing. The IRS has said New York State has lost about $20 billion in revenue. The IRS has said $20 billion in revenue based upon migration. That is what the IRS says. Because of migration, New York State has lost $20 billion in income. What is her answer? Raise the budget. I'm not joking. Raise the budget. More debt, more checks from Uncle Joe. What happens if the checks from Uncle Joe go away? What happens if Trump wins and he doesn't want to give a check to New York State? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah. Yes. Roy says, ranked choice voting would have prevented a former guy being president because he never came close to a primary majority, winning only because so many candidates put the 75% majority, many of whom hold him as their least favorite, least qualified, but he won because they had only first choice voting. So his 30% carried day. Accurate statement. I think you're right, Roy. I think you're right. Because, and you see what the evidence of what you just said, Roy, happened in Alaska. Sarah Palin did not win her seat because Alaska has ranked choice voting. So yeah, I think you're right. The people were voting Trump and then splitting everything up because they like their guy. Ranked choice voting, everything would have changed. We saw that also, by the way, in New York City, the Democratic primary for mayor in 2021 that happened. So yes, I do think you can see that. It did happen 100%. I think you're right. And I think we have evidence of that now too, which is even more important. We have evidence of it. It's not just me talking trash. And I like talking trash, but it isn't just that. So yes. All righty. Let's see here. Lynn says, we're all at political college here, Larry Sharpe. Thank you. I'm trying to my best of my ability to give you the answers. So yes. Joseph says, Chase Oliver is on the ballot in New York State. Yes. So most libertarian candidate on the ballot in New York is Donald Trump. I got to tell you, I think that's going to wind up happening. I think you're right on that one. I think that's going to happen. If there's nobody on the ballot in New York State except Trump and Harris, I think most libertarians are going to vote Trump. I think that's true. I think the Libertarian Party in general, it's not 100%, but it's a good general rule. Libertarian Party in any given state tends to lean the opposite of the state because we don't like the state. So in red states, very often, not always, but very often, the Libertarian Party will lean left. In blue states, it will very often lean right. It leans the opposite of the state. In fact, Libertarian Party nationally sometimes is too. Libertarian Party under Biden was much more leaned more right, and under Trump leaned more left. We tend to lean against the establishment. So I think in New York State, you're right. I think more libertarians will probably vote for Trump than anything else. I agree with you. I think you're correct. Yes. So peace logic, brother. You are just throwing it up here. I love it. Effing love you. Let's interrogate everything and make the world a better place. Let's do it, brother. I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in. It's what I'm trying to achieve. It's what I'm doing. I'm 100% in, brother. We got to keep going. That's my whole point. It's why I don't stop. I'm either stupid or I'm stubborn or both, but I don't stop. I just keep going. I have to. Even when they beat me up, even when I was done my first race, I say this all the time, I was $100,000 in debt, and I still kept going. After my second race, $40,000 in debt. I still kept going. Didn't matter. Yes, absolutely. The anti-corporatist, thank you for becoming a member, my friend. 6-1. We can always pretend to be a Democrat and become mayor of New York. In theory, but I can't. People have asked it. Many people have said, Larry, run as a Democrat so you can win. I've heard that more than once. You're not the first person to tell me that. You run as a Democrat, you'll win. No, here's the problem. The Democrats in New York City, and I'm sure other areas too, but I know New York City. It is a machine. It's a machine. The odds of me winning? Andrew Yang couldn't come in first. You might go, well, I don't like Andrew. It doesn't matter. Andrew Yang's a New Yorker. I know him. He lives in Queens. He's a friend of mine. I happen to personally like Andrew Yang. I know some people don't. I do. He lives in New York. New Yorker, ran for president, raised money, couldn't win a primary. And I'm going to win a primary. That's the problem with the primary. See, you're correct in theory. If I was a D on the ballot in November, you're correct. I could win. But I'll never get to the ballot in November as Democrat because they'll get rid of me in the primary. That's the reason. Now, they do have ranked choice voting now in the primary for Democrats. So maybe I got a shot. Maybe. But I'm not sure New Yorkers actually get it completely yet. So maybe. I don't think so. So Ryan says, I was a California resident during Schwarzenegger's governorship. He was awful. The Dem governors in Missouri are far less destructive than Arnold. He was awful. You said awful twice. Yes, but I'm sure it was funny. I mean, because Schwarzenegger is funny. At least you had a fun. I have a terrible governor who's not funny. Like my governor is terrible and she's just awful. That's it. You at least had someone who was funny at the time. I would take that at least. It's funny. I am not a fan of Andrew Cuomo at all. And if you know that, you've seen me. He was the governor of New York State before Her Majesty Queen Kathy, first of her name, destroyer of businesses, banisher of conservatives. All hail. She is terrible, but he at least had charisma. He was terrible too. King Cuomo, second of his name, killer of grandparents, closer of businesses, grabber of butts. All hail. He at least was funny and had charisma. Something as I was being destroyed mentally, financially, at least I got a giggle here or there. He had a little bit of charisma. Hochul has nothing. It's just pain. At least it's cracked some jokes. Something, I guess. All I'm saying is something. So yes. So, alrighty. Super weapons. What $5? Thank you. He says, what was the policing policy change, and why do you like Andrew Yang? Okay. I'll cover both of those if I could. I like Yang because I do think, I know him personally. I consider him a friend. I like him. And by the way, his family, I don't want to give away too much, but there are members of his family who are very serious about things like police reform, jail reform, and they will literally put their money where their mouth is. They will show up at events. They will help move things forward in the city. He and his family actually care about the city and want to make things better. People think Yang was running, for mayor just to sell a book or something. Of course he's selling books. We're all selling books. That wasn't the issue. But he was actually trying to make change. That is why I like Andrew Yang. I think he was actually trying to make change. And I respect someone who's actually trying to make change when I've met so many politicians who just don't care. Before I go to the second piece, I want to bring this up because some of you may not realize this. There are a lot of people who are in charge right now who actively hate us. And I'm not joking when I've met people who are like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Stop talking. And people will say the same thing. People come to me and say, Larry, how do I get this bill passed? This bill will help all these people. And I go, doesn't matter. They go, what? No, it's going to help. They don't care about that. Like, what do you mean? This is a good idea. It will help. I said, great. How do they get paid? What? How do they get paid? Well, I never going to get passed. Doesn't matter. Never going to get passed. If people can't grift off of your rules, laws, regulations, they will not get passed. How do I know that? I've had solutions for New York State on my website, LarrySharpe.com, for 8 years. If any of you've watched, it's not 8 years, 6 years, sorry, 6 years. If any of you watched any of my stuff, I have an 8-hour policy piece which covers how to fix all of New York State in 8 hours long. I didn't take a bathroom break or a food break. I sat there and talked for 8 hours straight. If you care, you go to my YouTube page, click Larry Sharpe 8 hours. You'll see it. It's time stamped, so you can look at what issue you want. Every issue. And I've been proven right on every issue. I have receipts right there. I'm right on every issue. None of them have been taken up. Why? People can't get paid off of them. If you can't get paid, if they can't grift off of your policy will not be adopted. So I tell people, how do they get paid? Well, find a way for them to grift. They'll pass your law. Find a way for them to grift. That's all that matters. And Larry, sounds hard. Yes, Yang does not believe that. Yang does not like that. He does not want that. You've been with his policies, but he doesn't want to grift. That's not his goal. His goal is to fix things. And a lot of people just want to grift. Eric Adams is a terrible mayor. He just wants to, and give his friends jobs. Wouldn't they give Eric Adams, though, in New York City? He said it openly. He goes, I'm just giving my friends jobs. He gave his sister a job, and he said it. I'm doing it. And they were like, that's bad. He goes, everyone else does it. I'm doing it. And I was like, you know what? He's not wrong. I actually respect that. He just came up and said it. I'm giving my sister a job. And he did. He gave all his friends jobs. Yes. The policing policy. The policing policy that I wanted to change, which was different, was how you break up your police force. The difference, the key aspect here in New York City and any big city is very often what you would call, hold on, so if I get the right term, if I get the right term again, it is like noise pollution, things like that, disputes between people, next door neighbor disputes, quality of life. That's what it's called in policing. It's quality of life issues. That is a big chunk in cities. That's almost non-existent in suburban area. I'm sorry, in rural areas. Your neighbor is miles away. In some parts of Manhattan, there are 60,000 people in 1 square mile. Let me repeat that. There are 60,000 people in 1 square mile. In certain buildings in Manhattan, the UPS truck driver, his entire route is several floors in the building. Let me say it again. The UPS truck driver, his entire route is several floors in one building. He drives his truck to the spot by that building, and his truck stays there all day because that's his route, those buildings. That is night and day. Quality of life is night and day, rural versus New York City. Now, that should have been obvious to me, but it wasn't. This guy, he was a peace officer. He was like, Larry, so I had to make changes in my quality of life policy for that. I hope I answered your question. So it's quality of life is what it's called. Thank you. All right. Guys, I know I give you a lot of stuff. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm feeling some of you are enjoying it, so it's good. I'm glad. You're staying, which is nice. I do like that. So yes. Angie says, I'm in Mississippi, and I'm happy to vote for RFK Jr. Oh, there we go. Anna says, if we don't get 5% in this election and Harris wins, we may never get this chance again. They will change the rules. Yes. Oh, my God, thank you. Yes, they will absolutely change the rules. That is 100% correct. Yes, they will 100% change the rules. Yes, yes, and yes. Absolutely. All right. Pickerbell says, thank you for being a member. That's so wild. That $200 million is basically nothing. $10 billion, good Lord, the machine is expensive. Yes, 100%. Yes. Anna says, Harris is at 750K. No. She changed it. Okay, good. She's at 750 million alone. Yes, just her. That's it already. Yeah, think about that. 750 million. She laughs at 200 million. And she just started. That doesn't count. She's only been running for like a week and a half, whatever it's been, right? I'm sorry. She's just been anointed like a week ago. Yes, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. That's the issue. Yes. Peace Logic says, thank you for the $5 super chat. I love Andrew Yang, but I was disappointed. Why no love for RFK Jr.? Yes, agreed. To be forward, I think in the long run, Pete, you've made a very valid point. Forward should have taken RFK Jr. It's true. Obvious move. Should have been done. I think the ball was dropped on both sides for that one. They simply did not try to make that happen either side. They both kind of were like, well, and that was silly. Forward can raise money. Forward already has, a name. Already had a name more than We the People. I agree with you. I think you're right. I said this, and no one listened to me. Yes, I'm on record saying that this was a better move. It did not happen. Yeah, don't like that. Yes. All righty. Let me grab some more of these. So many of these guys I appreciate. I've got to get through a couple more if I can. I'm trying to get some people who also, by the way, I say all the time, click the like button. Don't stop. If you're watching, please share. If you haven't shared already, wherever you are, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, share it. Please do so. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube page, Larry Sharpe, please subscribe to the Larry Sharpe YouTube page if you can. Click notifications so you get known wherever you are, whether that's whatever. Super chat makes you see Peace Logic doing. Thank you so much. Become a member if you want to. Click that join, $5 a month, and I keep rocking and rolling. So yes, if you want to, please take care of that. That's always a good idea if you can help. All righty. That libertarian lady Liberty lady says, here in Jacksonville, a guy said he was going to the police department here, JSO, I guess Jacksonville something, so he could be corrupt. His exact words. Yeah. I have met people who their goal is just to have power. And yeah, or just to make money, or it's a good job. Yes, it's true. I've met people. Yes. Roy says, anyone besides Larry is corruptible. Roy, I love you, brother, but I am also corruptible. That's why I've said I will only do 8 years. When people ask me, Larry, how do we know you're not corrupt? I said, I don't know anybody yet. Give me time. Eventually, I'll be corrupt. Once I've got I don't have cronies yet. I can't be corrupt yet. I got to get some cronies first. Give me like 6 years. I'll have some cronies. Then when I try to run in 8, throw me out. This way, I can't do that. Yeah. So yes, more the reason our founders put in guardrails, and we should be wary of guys at the former who seeks to lower guardrails. Agreed. I'm with 100%. I agree. Yes. Okay. Sarah says, on a future show, can you just cover all things libertarian, good, bad, truth, and lies? Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Maybe I'll work on that. I talk libertarian stuff all the time, but maybe I should spend some time on that specifically. Okay. Noah Clark says, yes, 3 independent parties. Let's vote RFK to get the ball rolling. If we don't this opportunity, the Dems will make it impossible for any third party to make impact ever again. Now, you might say, wait a minute, Larry, she's exaggerating. She's not. And I'll give you my examples. I always give you examples. And the example is Ross Perot. Ross Perot got in the ballot. Ross Perot was doing fine. Why? They weren't afraid of Ross Perot. They didn't know that guy would come out of nowhere. Ross Perot in the 90s, at 92 he came out. All of a sudden, that guy's in debate stage. That guy's getting 20% of the vote. They're like, okay, we got to stop that. And from Ross Perot is when they made all those rules on the debate stage, all those rules for ballot access. All of that happened in the 90s, right after Ross Perot. Noah is correct. That's exactly what happened. And they'll do it again. Bobby Kennedy is the Ross Perot of this generation. And if he doesn't make impact this year, they will change. How do I know this? In 2022, after I had expressed what happened and how evil and bad it was, and the judges threw me off the ballot and I ran out of money at one point, New York State fixed the ballot access law rules to make sure that I can't do it again. I'm not joking, because I was right. Everything I said was correct. The judge said, I don't care if it's correct. No. And then they went back and, oh, change the loopholes. They found the loopholes, fixed them. I couldn't take it any further. I ran out of money and the Supreme Court wouldn't see my case. Done and done. I ran out of cash. I can only go back to donors enough times when I keep losing. At one point, they tell me no. Again, money, I wish it wasn't there. It is absolutely, a big deal. Terry Mitchell, how are you, Terry? I wonder if Nicole will be offered a position in Trump's presidency if he gets in. She's another leader in my view and can make a huge difference. She has mentioned her desire to maybe run for office herself. So if that is true, she might go down that road. I would assume she would. So she may go down that road. She has talked about it. So yes. Roy says, the Sharpe Way explanations, not sound bites. Thank you, my friend. I try my best to. I know everyone doesn't always agree with me. I get it. But I hope you know that I go out of my way to at least give you what I think is true and my real opinion. So as I've said before, and I want to make sure it's clear on this, I can have you guys angry at me, think I'm wrong. I can't have you not trust me. If you don't trust me, you'll stop watching. You don't pay attention anymore. I lose you. To get that trust back is impossible. You can go, no, Larry, you're wrong on that. Oh, he doesn't know, or he's, terrible take on X or Y. And I'm sure some of you are going to think that, bad take on this, bad take on that. But I'm still telling you what I feel. I'm consistent. And when I'm wrong, I say it. I just talked about that policing issue with my quality of life. I tell you the truth, that was wrong. And I admitted it. I just said it. I mean, I think we have to do that sometimes. If we're ever going to fix government, the answer is absolute transparency for many years. People don't trust government. We don't trust our institutions in general. If our institutions become transparent for many years, Americans may decide to trust our institutions again. And I hope they will. We should trust institutions. It's sad that we don't. Nancy says, I'm in Michigan. I'll be voting for RFK Jr. Well, there we go. There we go. Excellent. All righty. The anti-corporatist says, okay, so the working families plan is to be an insurgent party instead of other parties, counting Tea Party. They're not that, though. But yes, so is the DSA. The DSA, too, had the same plan. They're not really that. AOC is a member of the DSA. That's not working very well. Working Families Party. They support every Democrat in my state always. So maybe that's their plan. If it is, it's not working. That I can tell you. If that's their plan, it is not working at all. Yes. Noah says, Larry, why is Stein West Oliver not supporting RFK's bid for creating a third party? Wouldn't it benefit them? They can't. And I get why they can't. Like, I'm not mad at them for it. I get why they can't, right? They are part of parties that expect them to move forward and push that party forward. They accepted the nomination. If I'm Jill Stein, whether they can win or not, if I take the party's nomination, the Green Party, I'm going to the end. They gave me money. They expect they're supporting me. You got to go to the end. You just have to, right? In 2022, when I got my ass kicked, when I lost all that money, when I got kicked off the ballot, when I ran out of cash, people wanted me to run a writing campaign. I didn't want to run a writing campaign. I wanted to go home and cry. But people wanted me to. And these people had given me money. I raised $400,000. How can I just say no to that? So I ran a terrible, no money write-in campaign for governor in 2022, and I got my ass kicked, and it hurt. But how could I tell them no? No, if you write me a check and expect me to go do something, and I go, you know what? What are you going to do? Can't do. No, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to make impact to the best of my ability. I'm fighting to the best of my ability. I lost, but I took the L, and most people, some people still mad at me. Some are like, you know what? It's fine. He did it. We're good. So yes. So I get it. If I was Chase Oliver, if I was Jill Stein, I'm going to the end. I'm supporting my party to the end. I'm doing it. It's what's expected. It's what I would do. So I get it completely. Yes. Super Weapons, thank you for the $5. Basically, what I'm hearing, in order to win ballot access, we need to start moving federal judges off the playing field and put more liberty-based ones in. Yes. However, generally speaking, the more senior the judge, the safer we are. How this works, and this will make some of you angry, but again, this is important to understand how judges tend to work. The lower level judges will almost never go against the party, ever. So if we are trying to stop the party in any way, they're like, nope, party is right. Law is the law. Change nothing. You're just screwed. Too bad. Get out. Why would they do that? Why? Why when it's clearly makes sense, right? Why when I give you an argument that is obvious and true and unconstitutional, you don't do it? I've had judges tell me this. Like, Larry, you got to give me something that I can't just do this. I'm like, but you know what's wrong. I can't do it. Yes. I've had judges tell me off the record things like, Larry, you know, it's the pressure I'm under. And you mean from like the people who vote for you? No. Lower level judges do not care about you at all. They don't care about the Constitution either. That's irrelevant. What they care about is the party infrastructure. Why? That's how they get elected and selected. They get elected to the party organization. They get selected to the party organization. Have you ever noticed if a judge is running for anything and you ask them what they think about an individual case? They go, it's not ethical for me to talk about a case. That's shit they made up. They can say whatever they want. They made up that rule themselves to say, I can't talk about these issues. Why? So you can't judge them on this. That's the reason. There's no law that they can't. If you say, well, what do you think about, if this kind of case came, how would you decide? There's no law so they can't say that. They can say, well, if this was this, I would say this. They don't want to. So they made up a rule, judges did, saying they can't talk about possible cases. That's the stuff they made up. Every time that happens, we should be doing like, oh, you won't say that? Then I'm not voting for you. Tell me how you think about these issues or I'm not going to vote for you. They won't. They just say, well, I would do with the Constitution. They say that BS. None of that's true. They care about the party infrastructure because that's how they either get elected through or they get selected by. That's all they care about. When they get higher up, federal judges who are higher up, or even state judges who are higher up, they either have built their own political power. They don't care anymore about the party because they built political power. They have enough donors, enough political back and forth. They've done enough glad handing to where they now are political powers upon themselves. They don't care about the structure anymore. Or they've gotten so high, they're not getting promoted anyway. They don't care. They're not getting reelected again. They're not getting promoted again. They don't care anymore. That's why the more senior judges are appellate judges and will actually often sometimes care about you and or the Constitution. They care about their oath. Why do you think some of these go to appeal and then get overturned? Because the lower judges are just following whatever their party bosses tell them. Now, here's the problem with that. What if you can't afford to appeal? You're just screwed. The party just makes you do what the party says. You have no chance to succeed. You can't. You gotta be able to push through. I went to court 8 times, 6 appeals. I had $400,000, 6 appeals, and all gone and still lost. But what? I can keep going. I can keep going. Bobby Kennedy Jr. is keep going. It is meant to wear you down. But at the higher levels, you get actual judges who actually care. Low levels, you don't. You get guys who only care about the system and nothing else. They don't care. I need to get paid. How are they thinking? Again, how did I get paid? How do I grift? That's why the higher judges will often be like, oh no, I'll care about the Constitution. Why? Because I'm not getting promoted again. Or I have my own political power base, so they can't touch me. So I'll just keep going. That's why, again, why usually, not always, the Supreme Court is more about the Constitution. They're at the top already. They're not getting fired. They're not getting removed. The structure is, well, you see, sometimes you'll see these guys who go to the Supreme Court actually change their policies. Have you noticed that? Well, he was a really liberal judge, and now all of a sudden he's not a liberal judge anymore. Well, he's probably in California, and he had to follow the party status. How else you get elected or selected? Got to keep the party people happy. The people don't matter. The people aren't voting for them. There's no repercussion for judges. There was a judge in New York City who's just this year, in the Dexter Taylor case, I brought this up before, who literally said, the Second Amendment does not exist in my courtroom. On the record. So she's saying the Bill of Rights does not exist in her courtroom. And that was published on Twitter. Her repercussions? Nothing. Nothing. Why? You don't matter. Nothing. As long as she keeps the party people happy, which Democratic Party in New York State hates guns. So get rid of all the gun things. Second Amendment does not apply. I can just say it. Does not exist. And they go, yeah, well done. Doesn't matter. So I'm sorry I'm being a nudge on this, but you brought up this piece, got me off a tangent. It isn't federal judges. It is making judges accountable to the people. That's the issue. What a judge is supposed to do, it's going to sound crazy, super weapons, it's going to sound crazy. They're supposed to judge. I know, nuts, right? They're supposed to check the laws that the brain-dead, empty-headed chimps in assemblies create who do not think about the Constitution at all when they make laws, at all. When they make laws, they think about one thing. How do I get paid? That's why they make laws. So when those laws come to the judges, they're supposed to go, oh, this is garbage. It's just you getting paid. No, this judge is unconstitutional. It's out. They go, oh, you getting paid? Can I get paid too? Oh, I can get paid too? It's great law. This is the best law ever. So constitutional. Most constitutional law ever made. That's how it actually does work. So, well, that sounds horrible. Sometimes I have some bad stuff to say, don't I? But anyway, it's still true. I mean, bad stuff or not, it still is true. And you can see it. As I say it, some of you are going, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. Absolutely. Nancy says, that's what I keep hearing come out of the mouths. Stein has been very ugly towards RFK Jr. Oh, yes. Some of them are. And I'll tell you why. I don't like it either sometimes when people who I think don't deserve to get the stuff that I want. Of course, I get it. Bobby Kennedy Jr. is getting a lot of attention, tons of it. And people who like, look, Stein, to her total credit, to give her complete credit, has been working the Green Party hard for decades. She's been on the front line, fighting, yes, on the front line all day long. Absolutely true. And now here comes RFK Jr., runs once, and Stein's run before more than once, and he's getting everything. I'd be mad too, but it also reinforces something else, which again, I don't like. I simply say it's true. He raised over $10 million. PACs raised over $10 million. Other guys can't raise it. And it is about the money. It just is. It's about the money. Superwoman says, thank you, Larry. Oh, good. I hope I answered that question. Excellent. Pickerbell says, can confirm my neighbors are more cows than people. Yes. So we do have to worry about that. Yes. And again, I'm biased by, I'm born and raised in New York City. So I am absolutely biased by that. And sometimes any other people to say, hey, Larry, the world doesn't work the way you think it works sometimes. There's other people who have other ideas. And I have to go, yeah, okay, yeah, I've got to do that. So I do appreciate that. Yes. All righty. Again, thank you very much, Ryan Murphy. Independence to raise a ton of money and buy the poll. Yes. Always true. Yes. You have to be able to buy polls. If you can't buy polls, you're not taking it seriously. Because sadly, as Anna mentioned the other day when we were talking together, Anna said polls aren't made for to move things. They're made to give you information. In the real world, yes. But in politics, no. No. Absolutely. So yes. All right, guys. I do appreciate all of your time. But look, do me a favor. If you haven't already picked up the button that is like and slammed it on the ground, please do so. I want you to pick that like button. It does matter. Every bit counts. Click it wherever you are. Like it. Share it if you can, wherever you are on Twitter, Facebook, doesn't matter. If you haven't subscribed to my channels, it's because you hate me and now I'm mad at you. So please subscribe so I can not be mad at you. Thank you for all the super chats. If you haven't become a member, please consider becoming a member if you can. Click the join button. It's $5 a month. It keeps me going. I try to get more and more shows. I'm trying to do every show every day. It's really hard, but I try to. I still have to work. But I try to do this every day if I can to keep this stuff going. I do appreciate every little bit that you guys can help me out. And thank you so much for watching, obviously. Last piece I always ask you. You know the man who's watching, Mr. Rhythm. First name Al. Middle name Gore. Yes. Mr. Rhythm, he loves when this is over, you come back and put a comment. Loves that. He loves it. We got to keep him happy. He is unfortunately my Lord and Master, and I must keep him happy. So please, wherever you are watching, when this is over, come back, leave a comment, and I'll even respond. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. I appreciate it so much. I will see you all very soon.